Cougars Network is your home for Canyon High School athletic coverage. Don't miss live game broadcasts, weekly coaches shows, stories from inside the field house, and more. Log on to CougarsNetwork.com to stay up to date on everything from the Den to the Red Zone. Welcome to Cougars Network.
Bragging rights are always on the line of the annual Wurstbowl, but tonight the stakes are even higher as the Canyon Cougars look for a 2-0 start in the ultra-competitive 27-6A district, while the crosstown rivals, the Braunfels Unicorns, are desperate to avoid falling to 0-2. It's the 36th annual edition of the Wurstbowl, and it's coming up next on the Cougars Network. Welcome to Cougar Stadium. I'm Brant Freeman, along with Ben Campos, Chris Gutierrez, and our entire Cougars Network crew. Ben, the Cougars brushed aside an 0-3 start of the season last week in the form of a dominating win over Wagner in Converse, 38-13.
It's what I love about high school football, Brant. They allow you to learn from your mistakes early on in the season. It's not like college football where one loss early can bury you. Canyon had a very tough non-district schedule, took their lumps early, learned from those mistakes, and were able to put a complete game effort last week versus Wagner. Brant, there was a sequence there in that game where you had the offense drive 70 yards, yes, stall, but then the special teams pinned Wagner inside the one, and then the defense finishes it off with the safety. So that's just one example of many in that ball game of Canyon playing complete football, and they're going to need another effort like that tonight.
Let's look at the play of Canyon's offense so far. 4 games into the season, the 2 players that really stand out: Xavier Perez, a quarterback, a junior, actually played in this game a year ago as a sophomore. And to the backfield, the emerging Seth Haney had a couple of big plays last week against Wagner.
Xavier Perez getting more comfortable week in and week out in this new offense under offensive coordinator Trenton Kirkland. You look at his numbers last week versus Wagner, completed 50% of his passes, 190 yards, and 2 touchdowns through the air. And Brant, I actually thought he was pretty quiet in that game as they did not rely on him with the run. And why would you when you had effective running from Seth Haney? You look at his numbers, had 67 yards on 17 carries. What's impressive to me with that, you're able to give him the ball 17 times. He's still an effective runner, and he was also utilized out of the backfield on a couple of catches, 138 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. Brant, we haven't even mentioned Owen Worley, who is the backup running back who had a great game last week versus Wagner. If Worley could establish himself as a viable number 2 running back, this Canyon offense is going to just improve game in and game out, and that was a great sign to see from last week versus Wagner.
Now the Cougars defensively had their best game a week ago as well against Wagner. They forced a turnover. In fact, they forced 3 of them against the Thunderbirds, one of them courtesy of Fabian Facundo. That was great. However, Wagner, kind of a unique offense, a slot T, triple option style. New Braunfels is not like that. They're led by Ryan Redding, their quarterback. Now, 7 points a week ago for New Braunfels. This after they averaged close to 56 points per game in non-district play. They're looking to bounce back.
Yeah, I talked to some of the Unicorn coaching staff this week leading up to the ball game. I said, well, what happened last week? The offense looked like everything was going well into that ball game versus Judson, and they said, well, Judson happened. And so no real harm there, and to say that the Judson Rockets, nationally ranked, were able to quell that Unicorn offense. So the downside of that for all the Cougar fans out there, Brand, it's a Unicorn offense that has had to listen to how they stumbled against Judson for 1 week, and now they're ready to come out here. And there's one thing I don't want, it's a mad Ryan Redding. He's shown the ability to put up numbers both offensively and defensively. It's going to be a real tall task for this Cougar defense.
Again, it is New Braunfels, it is Canyon, it is the 36th edition of the Wurstbowl, and it's coming up at 7 o'clock right here on the Cougars Network. Still to come, more pregame coverage. We'll talk more about this matchup between Canyon and New Braunfels, and we'll visit with Cougars head coach Joe Muchageba. This is Canyon football on the Cougars Network.
Tom Brady, that's a mic drop.
This is football, and this is how it is.
Let's just get right to it.
Start your game day with Game Day Morning, football's first pregame show every Sunday.
Watch NFL Network, GVTC Digital Cable Channel 579. GVTC, just plain smart.
the all-new Nissan of New Braunfels. Our modern and architecturally impressive building is more like an art gallery than a dealership, with an extravagant showroom floor and customer lounge. With over 500 vehicles in stock, we have the ability to deliver the best savings possible to meet your budget needs. It's our pleasure to serve you in New Braunfels and the surrounding Hill Country communities. The all-new Nissan of New Braunfels, you've got to see this place.
What is the fastest land animal in the... Oh!
It's a cougar. It's a cougar. It's a cougar.
Get to know our Cougars in a whole new way as they take the Cougar Challenge. Who do you think actually gave the Canyon Cougars their mascot? Fun questions will bring out the real competitors in this group. So what's the math on that? Puma, mountain lion, panther, catamount, deer lion, they go on and on. How do you spell Coach Muchagumba?
Triceratops.
I bet Coach Mooch would appreciate that, huh? And then
burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire.
Cougars Network brings you Cougar Challenge every week, only on Cougars Football with Joe Muchagumba.
Please don't hate me if I get it wrong, Coach.
Welcome back live to Cougar Stadium for the 36th edition of the Wurstbowl. Now, Wurstfest is still about a month away, but the Wurstbowl again is tonight between New Braunfels and Canyon. Coleman County Fair coming up this weekend. And Ben, this has always been a big game for nearly 4 decades now. Consecutively, there was a small gap in which the two did not play each other. But now that they have renewed this rivalry, it has been a lot of fun year in and year out.
It divides the city and personally divides me. I'm a former player at New Braunfels and now over here at Comal ISD. And you look at some of the coaching staffs and the families here, you move around, you think, hey, this is a great neighborhood to move into. And now you realize, hey, I'm no longer in the school district I grew up in. So a lot of families divided, but I guarantee you this, Brant, whatever happens tonight, bragging rights will be for the rest of your lives. I know, because my senior year we lost that game to Canyon. Canyon won, and I'm still hearing about that 15 years later. And so it is true. There are bragging rights out there, and this is going to last for the rest of their lives. No pressure, though.
Now, there was a 3-year stretch in the rivalry which New Braunfels outscored Canyon 153-14. Included in that was a 69-2 thumping on a Thursday night here at Cougar Stadium. But since in the games, very competitive. 5 of the past 7 decided by 7 points or less, to include last year's game. Now, saw New Braunfels get out to a large lead, but Canyon made a nice rally in the fourth quarter.
I think we'll expect something just like that tonight. When you look at how these two offenses are moving, expect a lot of points. You have the Unicorns looking to bounce back, and you have the Canyon Cougars, we're both cooks, like a nice pot of water boiling at just the right time. It all adds up for a good game tonight.
What's so fun about this game this evening is that year in and year out, so many names change in high school football rosters, nature of the beast. But both quarterbacks, Ryan Redding, Xavier Perez, started in this game a season ago, and many may argue that for Perez, this was his coming out party last year.
And it helps in the locker room, too. You're going to have a lot of sophomores, or not a lot of sophomores, but you'll have sophomores. You'll have juniors first time on varsity. They're going to have to rely on some of those players that have played in this game before. Hey, what's it like? And I'll tell you this, all the cliches that the coaches might throw at you, it's just another game. You've got to take it one game at a time. Leading up to this game, there is a difference. Just now in the stadium, you could feel the buzz. This game is not like any other. And so for your young guys, you need to rely on your veteran presence. And luckily for both of these two teams, they have that in their quarterback.
Well, for more on tonight's game, we had the chance to visit with Canyon head coach Joe Muchagumba, looking ahead of the Wurstbowl against New Braunfels. Welcome back to Cougars football with Joe Muchagumba. Coming up this Thursday, Canyon playing for a 2-0 start, a 27-6 play as they take on the rival New Braunfels Unicorns at Cougar Stadium. New Braunfels comes into this game, coach, 3-1. They are 0-1 in district play. They played, though, a really good opponent, Judson, to kick things off this past Friday. You've known the New Braunfels program for a while. What stands out about their team this season?
Oh, I don't know what stands out about them. They're a real solid program. Defensively, you look at them and you try to figure out where, maybe there's a chink here somewhere. Don't really see it. Offensively, they're very well-rounded. They got some good skilled kids. Their linemen, are obviously, big and strong also, and it all runs through the little quarterback, and he's a fine football player. So then you look, well, maybe we can take maybe we have a big advantage in the kicking game somewhere. Well, they're very sound there too. So they're just Coach Mango does a nice job over there, very structured, very solid program. So we'll have to prepare well, obviously, like every week, and go out there and get after them.
Against a really good defense in Judson last week, New Braunfels managed just 7 points, but in non-district play, this is a team that averaged over 55 points per game, led by Ryan Redding, the quarterback. You saw some really great quarterback play and non-district play yourself. Looking at Redding, what does he do for their offense?
Oh man, he's just a competitor. You know, he plays with a lot of confidence, which at that position you've got to. You know, you gotta be very sure of yourself, and he is. And he's surrounded with some talented players also. So it's, you know, you go on and you go, we got to go shut him down. Well, that's going to be very difficult just to shut him down. You know, he's got some help around the field also. So we'll have to have an overall good game.
To make life difficult on Redding this Friday, you're going to have to get, or Thursday, you're going to have to get some pressure on him, and that means your front seven matching up against the offensive line of New Braunfels. How do you feel that matches up?
Well, you know, there's people that would say, you know, line up and go after him, you know, go get him. Well, that's good, but when you do, you better get him, because if you don't, then you got him running all over the field on you. So you got to mix it up, you know, hopefully give him some looks, maybe throw him off a little bit here, maybe he thinks he sees one thing and maybe that's not there. So, you know, it'll come back to big plays, keeping him in check if we can.
You're coming off a really good game offensively. You scored 38 in the district opener against Wagner. New Braunfels' defense has struggled a bit this season. They're giving up about 38 points per game. Where do you think you could take advantage of some of the holes in New Braunfels' defense?
Well, I don't know where the holes are. I think they've changed up a little bit. You know, they've kind of changed their scheme a little bit, so maybe they're trying to get a little better at what they're doing. Not that they're not good at it. I didn't mean to say that, but getting accustomed to the 3 down as opposed to their 4-2-5 scheme. They're not going to be gap short. You're not just going to formation them and create an issue for them somewhere. So we're going to have to hook up and go.
This will be your 4th Wurstbowl to take part of as Canyon head coach. Right. How enjoyable is this game every year?
You know, we obviously meet with the kids and talk about it, and it's really the Wurstbowls. You know, that's great. That's a great thing for the community. Y'all get, you know, they get involved in all that and all the hoopla that goes along with the game. We've got to get ready for the game. You know, we can't jump to Thursday. You know, we got work to do during the course of the week to get ready for the football game. So we try to make it enjoyable for our fans. All
right, Coach. Well, what other keys do you have for us that might factor into the game on Thursday?
Well, I think, you know, I think turnovers will be big. You know, we got to take care of the football, and hopefully we can create some there. Hopefully we can continue to run the football. You know, we ran the ball fairly well this year, and hopefully we can do that, and then take care of Ryan, you know, on the other side of the football. Maybe we can keep him from running on the field for us.
All right, Coach. Good luck on Thursday.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it.
Do you know what's perfect? Wick Productions teaming up with the Canyon Cougars. No kidding! We take pause when we hear you cheer for replays on the scoreboard. And we love the feline we get when you visit CougarsNetwork.com. Don't forget to subscribe, write, meow. Isn't that right? What? Cat got your tongue? Mew it.
The wait is over. Chip and Joe are back with more Fixer Upper. I love you.
You ready to do this?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. You slayed it.
Whoa!
You killed it.
This is amazing.
Yes!
Fixer Upper, Tuesday night at 9, only on HGTV.
Watch HGTV, GVTC, Digital Cable Channel 578. GVTC, just plain smart. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Comal Independent School District, Frost Bank, Nissan of New Braunfels, Wick Productions, Ashley, Zaxby's, and Texas Tractor Country.
Welcome back to the Cougars Network. Kickoff coming up shortly, but now we pause for tonight's playing of the national anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.
And moments away from kickoff now between Canyon and New Braunfels. We should note, by the way, that the Unicorns did win the toss. And unlike many teams are doing these days, after winning the coin toss, electing to go on offense here this evening first.
You know, it's such a change in culture of football over the past decade and a half. It's almost reflexive of us. You hear a team win the toss, and then out of muscle memory, you just say, and elect to defer. But not the case, as New Braunfels wants the ball to start the Wurstbowl. Brant, the term we use in basketball oftentimes is going 2 for 1. You see it, of course, we follow the Spurs. You see that at the end of a quarter or half. I use that in football if your team is able to get the ball to start the second half. And so we'll see how the end of the second quarter plays, but that might play in the Cougars' favor in this ball game, the chance to go 2 for 1 where you get a possession, a score at the end of the second quarter, and then another possession to start the second half.
Let's note the importance of this game tonight. And yes, you have bragging rights and the rivalry all on the line. That's the case every year. But this is game 2 of the 27-6A schedule for both teams. New Braunfels lost its opener last week to Judson. Canyon won theirs. If you fall behind 0-2 when you have Clemens and Steele and Smith Valley and Judson all in this district, you're in a huge hole. For New Braunfels, this game is extremely important.
Well, outside of that, Brant, the district takes off next week for a bye, and for the Unicorns, they're going to have Steele on the other side of that bye. And I don't care what Steele's record is, whether or not they are off to a slow start. You don't want to see them coming out out of a bye. So the Unicorns are desperate coming into this ball game, and the Cougars right now perhaps playing with house money after getting their first district win last week.
By the way, get ready for some potential fireworks here tonight. New Braunfels' offense is averaging 43.5 points per game, and of course Canyon is coming off a 38-point effort of the win over Wagner last week. The 36 all-time Wurstbowl. New Braunfels leads the series 28-7. Canyon has lost 3 straight against New Braunfels, but can snap that slide with a win tonight. Here is Martinez lining up the kickoff for the Cougars. Their junior kicker, big shoes to fill, literally, from Reeves Munchow from a year ago, and now at the University of Oklahoma. 2 returners back deep. Do note that Joey Thomas does have a kick return touchdown this year for New Braunfels, and this game is underway. On a ball, it goes into the end zone for a touchback, and we get our first look tonight at Ryan Redding and the New Braunfels offense.
175-pound senior quarterback, already has experience in this Wurstbowl from a previous year, Brant, but coming into tonight's ball game, we're barely halfway through the high school season, and he's already accounted for 1,000 yards of total offense.
Of course, though, struggles last week for Redding and New Braunfels as a whole. Against Johnson, a season low by a wide margin, 64 total yards for the New Braunfels offense and their quarterback, Ryan Redding.
I think that says more about Judson's defense, though, than it does this Unicorn offense. And, a Cougar team defensively, Brant, that saw a wing T option look last week and trying to adjust back into the spread.
And here we go. 4 wide and first down for Redding and the Unicorns to open the game. And the senior quarterback will take off and run on a design. Slips 1 tackle and not a second. Wrapped up nicely out around the 24-yard line. Martin Davis, a tackle for the Cougars. Going to bring up 2nd down and 10.
And I like that disciplined play here on the near side, Brant, by Cole Seeley, the outside linebacker. You could see he didn't want to make the first move on Redding. You stay in front of him, let Redding decide where he wants to go, and then you trail.
New Braunfels so far in the first quarter this year scored 42 points. But we're off the scoreboard last week in the first half against Judson. The Rockets jumped out to a 42-0 lead by halftime in an eventual 49-7 win. Empty backfield here on 2nd and 10, and Redding will throw. A deep ball over the middle. Got a receiver in stride. And a touchdown-saving tackle made inside the 45-yard line. On the catch there, Zachary Yaws for New Braunfels at a big 2nd down play.
Out of that slot position on that right side of the Unicorn line, the play action kind of held the defense, and all of a sudden you had Davis kind of left on an island on that outside.
Gain of 32 yards for Yaws, who's averaging about 18 yards a catch this season. And now first down from the Canyon 43. Option play here. Redding will keep it. Forced to the outside. Strung along the far side of the field and finally pushed out by Vance McKay. A lot of yardage for Reading there to occupy, but not much gain there. Gets all the way to the 36 after about 7 yards, 2nd down and 3.
There's a lot more left to right than it was up and down, and that's good pursuit there by number 11, Vance McKay. He had the opportunity to get sucked in, stays disciplined, and because of that discipline, he was able to make a good angle on the quarterback Reading.
Just underway here from Cougar Stadium. No score, about a minute in. And the first play of the game inside the 20, 15 to the end zone. Touchdown, Piali Thomas. His first carry is good for 36 yards, and New Braunfels strikes first.
Just a lot of running room on that left side of the Cougar line opened up. And Brant, if this opening drive is indicative of anything, it's just because the Unicorns like to go up-tempo. Doesn't mean they're going to throw it around all the time. They want to keep it on the ground. They want to establish the run. Plenty of running room right there on that right side. And Piali Thomas almost untouched.
Had a 34-yard rushing score in this game a year ago. That is his second rushing touchdown this season. And the PA team makes it a 7-0 game from Dallin Welch Lavender. So, not even 90 seconds in, New Braunfels has struck first in the Wurstbowl. Unicorns 7, Cougars nothing. This is Canyon Football on the Cougars Network.
Where Zaxby's is from. Some like it classic. Some like it saucy. For others, it's gotta be crispy. But everyone loves the flavor that brings us together. And whether you like it spicy or old school, you'll like it even more. Because Zaxby's 5 fan favorites are now just $5.99 each. Friends?
Whether you're out at the beach or chilling poolside, the summer heat is here and Music Choice is turning it up. Chill out with the latest music from your favorite kids artists and more. Your music lives here on Music Choice.
Hey guys, it's Sophia Carson here. Check out all of my music videos available on Music Choice On Demand. Available on GVTC. Just go to Free On Demand and select Music Choice.
And welcome back to Cougar Stadium here on the Cougars Network. Wurstbowl underway and off to a good start for New Braunfels. In front 7-0 after a 4-play, 75-yard drive ending with a 36-yard run by Piali Thomas. A short kickoff, and it finally fielded. No, it's not, but dove back on at around the 17-yard line by the Cougar right down there in the field, Vance McKay. And Canyon starts behind its own at 20-yard line. And Ben, you've seen the Cougars a lot this season, and one of the issues for them defensively has been the big play. 9 of the touchdowns they've given up coming into the game tonight, 50 yards or more. And we saw 2 big plays on that New Braunfels drive.
Yeah, let's hope that the Cougar defense, when they're back out there, can correct those things. And you're right, that had been the story early on as they played that really tough non-district schedule. And, you know, it was one of those things, Brandon, it could be a 10-play drive, but 9 of those plays were 3 or 4 yards. But it's that one big one that gets you in trouble. And so we had an illegal procedure penalty there on the kickoff ramp. But I know that's easier said than done. You don't want to minimize the big play, but I'll tell you, the Cougars have to do a lot better job on the line of scrimmage. I wouldn't consider that necessarily a big play as it's drawn up. It's a simple off-tackle play that just happened to go for as long as it did.
Meanwhile, for New Braunfels, that is their 9th offensive touchdown this year, covering more than 20 yards. Again, this is a high-octane offense. Don't let that 7-point total against Judson last week fool you. Those Rockets are pretty good.
And again, up-tempo, you think they're going to try to run 100 plays and throw 99 of them. It's an offense that they want to keep it on the ground. So that front 7, front 8 for the Cougars defensively, they're going to have to establish dominance up there in the trenches if they're going to have any success slowing down this offense.
Well, now Welch Lavender kicking off and 5 yards further back at the 35-yard line. McKay waiting back deep. This ball is off the returner's hands and picked up at the 17. Nice run back, though, across the 30 and down to about the 32 for Dalen Watanabe for Canyon. And the Cougars, that ends up being about a good almost 20-yard penalty against New Braunfels, not just 5.
All things considered, Brant, the first kick was a little sky kick into that soft area of the upmans for Canyon, and you get another crack at it. So congratulations to the Cougar coaching staff, able to make that correction on the fly on the sidelines. And the the beneficiary of that is Xavier Perez with better field position.
And so here comes Perez, the offense out for the first time, down 7-0. 94 seconds into the game. Big game last week for Perez in the offense against Wagner. First play here, a big run up the middle, exploding across the 45-yard line. And all the way down near midfield is Seth Haney, coming off a 200 total yard effort against Wagner last week, picking up where he left off.
Yeah, and this is the same thing as we're talking about the Cougar offense. Want to get up and establish tempo.
Haney again getting his number called. And forces his way down to the New Braunfels 48 for about 4 yards there, staying ahead of the chains, 2nd and 6.
First down so critical, Brant, for this Canyon offense to get into that rhythm, throw the defense off. You saw the big play. They want to keep the Unicorns in that defense, quick to the line, and let's run it again.
2nd and 6. A mishandle, the play action there by Perez, being harassed and throws the ball off his back foot, intercepted, and easily there by Luke Simpson. Dragged down to the 41-yard line, and a mistake there made by Xavier Perez.
Well, and I just don't know what he's trying to do there. It was too short for Callan Farr, and it was a way overthrown of Bobby Risk, and you're kind of in no man's land at that time, and Perez kind of doing everything you tell a quarterback not to do. Throw across your body off your left foot while rolling out in the opposite direction, and it ends up burning you there, and I don't know, Brant, perhaps just trying to split the difference between your receivers, and it ends up going the other way.
Now, New Braunfels has had its own defensive issues this year. This is a team giving up 38 points per game and over 600 yards of offense the last 2 games as well. But one thing they are good at is forcing turnovers. That is their 12th this year. And here is Piali Thomas off the heels of that 36-yard touchdown run. Turns out about 5 here to bring up 2nd down and 5 to go.
You know, throughout this year, Brand, the Cougar defense has been really good at defending the perimeter. You don't see a lot of running backs or quarterbacks try to get to the outside and are successful at turning the corner. And there you see good help on the boundary between Fabian Facundo and the rest of that Cougar secondary.
Second New Braunfels possession tonight. This one coming off a turnover. The interception thrown by Perez. A little play-action play here. Deep shot taken by Redding, nobody home. Closest man, Austin Schriever. But good coverage over the top from McKay. And a big 3rd down coming up now.
Getting New Braunfels out of the rhythm are the Canyon Cougars. Had some soft pressure there to make that pocket collapse around Redding. And you know, all the stats we see from Redding, very ill-advised throw there to just throw it to an area, not even close to his intended receiver, and almost an interception there by McKay.
This is our first 3rd down tonight for either team. New Braunfels has to reach midfield for a 1st down. And Redding will throw it. Here's a rush and a screen caught by Thomas. Has some blocks, and the 1st down explodes inside the 45 and down to the 42-yard line. Good play design there by New Braunfels.
Yeah, I thought so, and in the right time to call that. You're defensively for Canyon, you're getting aggressive there. It's 3rd and not really all that manageable. You think you could bring pressure, and it's just a well-designed and well-timed call on the screen to get into Cougar territory.
Not a lot of Piali Thomas the first 4 games of the year for New Braunfels, but a lot of him so far tonight. This time Redding calling his own number, and that was a mistake. 3 Cougar defenders right there. Lead of the charge, Reagan Hopper for the Cougars, and there the Cougars keeping the Unicorns behind the chains.
Yeah, Hopper amongst others. And you know, Brant, if I'm thinking here from the Braunfels' perspective, you want to limit Ryan Redding early in the ball game. Perhaps there's reason number 1. You don't want him to take as many hits as he just took. So, and you want his legs fresh for later in the ball game. 2nd
and long. Redding wants to throw. Dials it up to the far side, and a catch is made for the 1st down by Ethan Dulaban. The junior was with his 13th catch this year, has been Redding's top target this season for good reason. 1st down to Braunfels.
Yeah, just a little comeback route. You're on the far sideline. You run Fabian Facundo off. You fake that deep route, and then that's receiver, quarterback in sync as Dulaban breaks out towards the sideline, and a nice catch there keeping his feet in bounds.
Had a big game against San Marcos, a really high-scoring game at 56-42. Unicorn win in that game. Dulaban had 95 yards receiving. Nice quarterback zone replay on 1st down here for Redding. and brought down to the 24-yard line after a gain of 6, bringing up 2nd down and 4.
It's Antonio De Leon there on the tackle, number 8 for Canyon, and had a great game versus Wagner last week, but this is one of the stats. You didn't want him making the play, as there was 1 or 2 Cougars initially there on Reading, but De Leon coming to clean it up here after a gain of 5.
Approaching 7:30 to go here in the first quarter. To Braunfels' second possession and looking for its second touchdown. 5 wide on 2nd down and 4. And here is the quarterback. Reading again decides to keep, and Canyon makes him pay the price. The stop back at the 29 for a loss of 5. And now for Canyon's defense, a manageable 3rd down.
It's where you want to be if you're Canyon, but what a great play by number 14, Eric Taylor. They let him, the defensive end, be free in that play. You're going to read him, and that's dangerous. Eric Taylor is one of the best defensive ends I've seen throughout this young high school football season. You let him make the read, and then the rest of the defensive line crashes in on Reading.
Earlier in the drive, Ben, we saw the Unicorns dial up a screen on 3rd down. Let's see what they do here on 3rd down and 9.
Showing blitz.
Here's the rush. Reading evades it. He's got the 1st down and more. A chance to score, and he will. Touchdown New Braunfels on another long play. A 29-yard gallop into the end zone by Ryan Reading. 13-zip Unicorns.
And that time, Martin Davis, Brian, I mentioned before the snap, it looked like Cougars were showing blitz, and Davis came up to the line as if he was. But when he backed out of it, I don't think he backed up far enough. So when Reading pulled the ball down and made his pursuit here to the near side pylon, Davis did not have a good enough angle. Good effort making the dive at the legs of Reading, but ultimately it was just an arm tackle.
Stopping the run, the quarterback run, has maybe been the most glaring issue for the Cougars defensively this year. PAT good, but a flag thrown in. And we'll check that marker before going to break. And last week against a run-heavy offense at Wagner, Canyon was much better. The Thunderbirds, talent-wise, maybe not on par with the San Marcos, Round Rock, Cedar Ridge, that group, Madison. New Braunfels, though, is more like those first 3 teams, and Canyon again having its issues.
Yeah, and I think that's why they scheduled those teams. Off the top of my head, I'm remembering Prudy Calderon for San Marcos right here at Cougar Field. Very similar in his playing style to Ryan Reading. He's going to run the ball more than he does pass, and he's effective at both. And that's what you're going to see from Reading. And so the Cougars have seen that before, but much like we saw in those opening games, now we're seeing second time the Cougars are there. They are not making the tackle. And really, Brant, if you're the coaching staff, the good thing about this, you don't have to draw up a new scheme. The scheme is getting your players there. It's now talking to them about the execution.
So now 6:33 to go in the opening quarter. New Braunfels on top, 13-0. The PAT no good by the Unicorns. And while Canyon is in an early hole here, Ben, I go back to New Braunfels' own struggles on defense. This game is far from over.
Well, the Unicorns giving up on the past 3 weeks, 42 points, and 49. And now, as we mentioned in pregame, this Canyon offense starting to find a rhythm, and a great game that they had last week versus Wagner. Don't adjust. Well, Brant, we used to say don't adjust your TV monitors, but I guess don't click out of the X in the screen if you're on your computer or your smartphone or however you're with us here on the Cougar Network, because one, the Cougars could do it, and two, this Unicorn defense will probably allow you to do it. And Brant, just one of those things, don't throw the playbook out right now.
Well, by the way, the scoreboard late in putting on the PAT, it was good by Welsh Lavender, so it is a 14-0 Unicorn lead. And again, this is going to be Canyon's second offensive possession coming up. The first one started well, ended, though, in the turnover.
Yeah, to keep it on the ground. If I was Canyon, I want to see more Seth Haney. He looked like he was running the ball mean, and I want to see a little bit more Owen Worley interjected into this offense. But Brant, here you had a penalty on the try, which moves the kickoff here into Cougar territory. Rivalry game. Watch out for an onside kick here, as you wouldn't be giving up that much field position.
Not much to lose, right? I mean,
a lot to gain.
You can't touch the ball until the 35-yard line, and that's where it's recovered. It's not that that isn't too much trouble there for New Braunfels.
And if you look at Canyon right now, I don't recognize that as a hands team. So if I'm New Braunfels right now, I might see that and say, let's break this huddle and get into an onside kick.
So far for the Unicorns, 2 possessions, 131 yards. and 2 touchdowns. Go back to last year's game. The Unicorns led 42-17 at the end of 3. Wound up being a 7-point game. They will not onside. Svoboda to return across the 15 and down to about the 22-yard line. And actually coming out with the football there for the Cougars.
I have 46 on my
That's
roster.
what we have as well.
Savion Jarrett.
There you go. So Canyon starts at its own 32, trailing 14-0. Here's Perez in the offense once again. His numbers last week against Wagner, 7 of 18 passing, 179 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no picks, but did throw 1 on his first throw tonight. This is a handoff, and it's a good one. Out across the 30 to the 34 is Owen Worley for a first down. You heard Ben bring him up earlier in the broadcast, a big game last week against Wagner.
18 carries. That tells me you want to give him the ball a lot, and 123 yards and 2 touchdowns last week.
Quick snap. Worley called his number called again, and another nice run to the 43. 8 more yards there to bring up 2nd and 2.
Give credit here to Trevor Hopkins, the right guard. Ball came out at the end, and Hopkins was able to jump on it and save this possession.
2nd and short. It's a throw. It's a catch. And it's a first down. To the New Braunfels 46-yard line, Calvin Farr, his first catch this evening. He was the receiver targeted on the INT thrown earlier by Perez.
I'd like to see him get involved in this offense, and I'd like to see more of Trevor Pape. We haven't really heard Pape's name receiving over the past couple of years, but you talked to weeks, I should say. Yeah, you talked to Coach Muchagimba. They want to get him involved in this offense a little bit more.
Yeah, the first 2 games for Pape, 9 catches, 71 yards, and a couple of scores. Worley again, and that time bottled up after a gain of 2. Setting up 2nd down and 8.
Kind of like last week versus Wagner for Worley, as he showed he could be a physical back. I mean, you look at him, he's 5'11", 195, and he doesn't look thick, but he runs heavy. And a lot of times in that game last week, Brant, first contact was not bringing Worley down and running through guys. I'd like to see some more of that tonight, too.
Play action for Perez. Trying to target downfield, and he will. Into coverage, though, incomplete. Deep down the middle. That's going to bring up 3rd down.
It was intended for 86, Bobby Risk, and haven't really called Risk's name a lot throughout this course of the season, Brant, but now we've seen him targeted almost twice. Well, it's 1.5 as he was kind of the underman, I guess as you would call it, on that interception pass. But nice to see Perez not scared of taking the top off this Unicorn defense and at least keeping them honest.
3rd down for the Cougars. They have to reach the New Braunfels 36 for a first. Keeper for Perez. New Braunfels, a good job defending against it. He'll gain a yard. That's all to the 43-yard line, bringing up 4th down, and we'll see what Coach Mooch wants to do.
One of the unsung heroes of this ball game has been Jacob Martinez. Brent, you mentioned it. Big shoes to fill now that the kicker from last year is gone at the University of Oklahoma. And I'll tell you, Brent, if you tell me a high school kid loses a player to Oklahoma, how's the backup going to do? Well, I'll tell you, there's not been a lot of drop-off. You've had Jacob Martinez pin 10 punts inside the 20, and he's going to have another opportunity here.
10 of his 19 punts inside the 20. Great percentage. Will this one land inside the 20-yard line? It does, but will it stay there? It will not. A touchback, and New Braunfels starts at its own 20-yard line, leading 14-0, just past the 4-minute mark, remaining here in the opening quarter. And this will be the 3rd possession tonight for New Braunfels. Again, their first 2 have ended pretty well.
And touchdowns, and again, we'll mention it again, Brant, that the defensive play calling has been pretty good, and the Cougars, with their effort, have been able to get there. But we're talking about the difference in the score really being 2 missed tackles, and that is how the big plays come about. It hasn't been the Unicorns surgically picking apart the defense. It's just been simple plays, and the Cougars unable to bring down the runner.
And remember, there were 2 3rd and longs in that previous drive that New Braunfels did convert. There's a throw on 1st down, and it's an incompletion. Looking for Dulaban. And good coverage there by the Cougars. Cooper Holm, the senior cornerback. 2nd and 10.
And this is a little soft curl route. You don't want to give up. You don't want to give up those easy yards on the outside. Ball looked to be a little bit to the inside of Dulaban as he broke off his route, but good discipline there by Cooper Home, eyeing in on the receiver. And if the ball was delivered accurately, I bet you Cooper was going to have something to say about it.
Now Dulaban checks out at the top of the screen, lining up wide to the right on 2nd and 10. Motion from Thomas, an option play, a late pitch to Thomas. Him to the far sideline and pushed it to bounds to set up another 3rd down and long coming up.
One thing I'm going to look at, Bran, as this game unfolds is the battle between Ryan Redding, the quarterback, and Eric Taylor. A lot of these zone reads and option designs are designed to get Taylor to decide what is he going to do, and that's the second time in this ball game already that Taylor's pressure on Redding has made him give up the football. And if I'm Canyon's defense, priority number 1 is get the ball out of Ryan Redding's hand.
You see Taylor lined up on the right side of the defensive line right now. Had a big play last week blocking a punt against Wagner. 3rd and 10, Redding throws with good protection and a completion for the 1st down to the 33-yard line. Mitchell Black, his 4th catch this year. 1st down, Unicorns converting on 3rd down and long yet again.
Well, I think the last 2 drives have played into this play call on 3rd and long, Brand. You've seen Canyon defensively get aggressive in 3rd down scenarios, and New Braunfels being able to beat them with screens and misdirection. So little vanilla there, and New Braunfels was able to convert.
Another throw here on 1st down and a catch made of the screen, but the Canyon defender to the far side of the field, a great job, Helm again on the play of reading that, was able to shed his block and make the tackle.
I think that's the key for me, Brant, is it was passed on the outside to the slot receiver, and you have the outside receiver blocking on home, and when you're drawing that up, you tell that receiver, if you could get this block here, there's a lot of room, but great effort by Cooper Home getting off that block and ultimately making the play.
Again, New Braunfels 0-1 in 27-6A play coming into the game. Canyon 1-0. Big game tonight. And on 2nd and long, Redding the running play and driven down to the 38s. Saw a great job of the Canyon defense there, swarming to the ball. Zach Van Steel on the stop to bring up 3rd down at about 6.
Not making initial contact, but making the stop is Van Steel from that safety position. And what a game he had last week against Wagner. Of course, you got to play disciplined against that slot T from that safety position. Had a fumble recovery to go with his 4 tackles solo versus the Thunderbirds last week.
3rd and 6 for Redding in the offense. He'll throw against a 4-man rush. And what a catch! Leaping up into the air, that ball is hauled in by Dulaban. And New Braunfels, boy, 3rd down has been just money so far tonight.
Josh Heiser, the defensive tackle, able to break through the line, but bring about a half step too late as Redding was able to step into that. But that's another thing that I want to see from this Cougar defensive line. Can they start winning the point of attack? And for that, we're going to be pointing to guys like Josh Heiser, the defensive tackle.
A new formation here for New Braunfels on 1st down, stacking the receivers. And it's a run with Redding for a couple. Chopped down at around the 45 on the play there, Martin Davis. As we are approaching a minute to go here in the opening quarter, New Braunfels on the move, already in front, 14-0.
And one thing I've seen throughout this first quarter, Brandon, not a lot of squared shots on Redding. He does a good job of squaring up with the defender and then changing direction. So as you go for him, you're not hitting his belly area. All of a sudden you're hitting his thigh, and you're not really delivering that force to bring him down.
Again, great protection here, going deep, and the catch is made. Dulaban reaching out is the end. They'll mark him out. No, now they're going to change it and call it a touchdown on a 45-yard strike by Ryan Redding.
Just great athleticism down there on the sideline. I don't know how he was able to stay in, Brandt, but he gets his 2 steps in and then dives for the pylon, and is that Dulaban there by the near pylon?
It looks like Dulaban is yet to get up after making that catch. Good for his team-leading 4th touchdown reception this year and his longest catch of the season, but right now on his back with the Braunfels leading 20-0.
It's rare that you see that, Brand. You had a receiver tiptoe, but he had already established possession, so you're talking about somebody who's running full speed out of bounds, quickly changing his direction to go upfield while staying on his tiptoes and then diving. There's a lot of athleticism involved there, and happy that he got into the end zone for that young man, but tough to see what really happened there to force him to stay on the ground.
I'll tell you what, as they take a look, we will actually stay with you here, as now Dulaban has gotten up and under his own power. That's a really great sign.
And doesn't seem to be walking with any type of a limp. So, these kids, Brant, you and I play basketball. If we turn an ankle, we're on the bench for, 4 or 5 weeks. And these kids, you remember what it's like to be 17, 16 years old. That happens to you, and you just say, like, well, yeah, just a little funny, but I'll get back out there.
It didn't take a turned ankle to keep me on the bench, by the way. On for the PAT is Welch Lavender. 2 for 2 tonight, and make it 3 for 3. All New Braunfels as we approach the end of the first quarter. This is Canyon Football on the Cougars Network.
Where Zaxby's is from. Some like it classic. Some like it saucy. For others, it's gotta be crispy. But everyone loves the flavor that brings us together. And whether you like it spicy or old school, you'll like it even more. Because Zaxby's 5 fan favorites are now just $5.99 each. Friends, family.
In college football, you don't have the luxury of looking ahead. Every Saturday's a different way of destroying your season. They'll make the ground shake. They'll make your eyes burn. They'll show you hate and disrespect unlike anything you've ever seen. Don't think about January when there's a Wolverine coming for your face in September. The biggest game, the only game, is the one you're playing.
Start for Ryan Redding and the New Braunfels offense. 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns. Redding has tossed for 1, has run for another. Moments ago, a 45-yard hookup to Ethan Dulaban. New Braunfels is on top 21-0. And on the kickoff return across the 25 and across the 30. Nice return by Savion Jarrett.
And a flag late. There's a lot of movement there while he was midair. It makes me think that this could be a face mask penalty, so already a good return. And there, well, actually, that's a break by the Canyon Cougars, as you saw the defender there for New Braunfels and Matt Littlejohn get in on the inside of the shoulder pads there. So, if you're the ref behind the play and you just see the arms across the back and, fling to the ground, maybe you just suspect that there's face mask, but the Cougars get a break there.
And this is now Canyon's 3rd possession tonight. At all 3 times, they've been inside New Braunfels territory, but have yet to cash in, at least in the previous 2.
No need to throw away that playbook, Brant. Still a lot of time left. You can still make some noise here and stick to what you want to do, running the ball with Worley and running the ball with Seth Haney.
Again, we almost saw Canyon erase a 25-point fourth quarter deficit in this game a year ago. And here is Haney running with the purpose inside the 40 and down to the 38-yard line. Boy, Seth Haney didn't see him in the second series, but saw a nice run there.
Yeah, and I think that's nothing that Haney has done. Worley's been playing well, so you want to get him his snaps, but I think the referees are going to measure this. This should be enough for a first down, Brant. As I see it, that marker has the first down stick at the 37, just before the 37, and that's exactly where that ball lies. So it might be by a nose, but I think we should give Seth that whole 10 yards and a first down.
Again, his resume coming into the game tonight, 374 yards rushing to lead the Cougars, averaging more than 5 yards a carry, and a huge game last week against Wagner. Good call, Ben. First down, Cougars.
Now, my question here is, can Canyon stick with this plan? You're going to have the temptation to throw the ball or run Perez when the Unicorns stack the line, but you saw how Haney is running the ball, Brant, with the purpose and angry. Just kind of mix it up with some misdirections and counters, but I wouldn't deviate too far from this.
Could be the final play of the opening quarter. A run play to Haney again. At that time, the Unicorns converge and bring him down for a loss back at the 41. And the Cougars start the second quarter facing second and long at a 21-0 deficit. All New Braunfels 12 minutes into the game. Start of the second quarter coming up. This is Canyon Football on the Cougars Network.
Tom Brady, that's a mic drop.
This is football, and this is how it is. Let's just get right to it.
Start your game day with Game Day Morning, football's first pregame show every Sunday.
Watch NFL Network, GVTC Digital Cable Channel 579. GVTC, just plain smart.
Tom Brady, that's a mic drop.
This is football, and this is how it is. Let's just get right to it.
Start your game day with Game Day Morning, football's first pregame show every Sunday.
Watch NFL Network, GVTC Digital Cable Channel 579. GVTC, just plain smart.
Ready to start the second quarter here from Cougar Stadium. All New Braunfels early, a 21-point first quarter for the visitors, albeit a short trip from New Braunfels High School. But, Ben, as we've talked about, a lot of football to be played in Canyon with a chance here inside of Unicorn territory.
And Brandon, right now behind the chains on second down and 14, but you have to get down to the 27-yard line. And so really, if you keep the ball down here, like with Seth Haney, this is a manageable third down. And Brant, my point of the sticks being at the 27 is I think this is 4-down territory for Coach Muchagimba.
After that run, now third down at about 8 to go. Passing down for Perez in the offense, he will throw. Here's the rush going deep towards end zone. Has Facundo, but the pass batted away last moment by Luke Simpson. Had the INT earlier, got beat by Facundo on the route, but recovered and made the play.
Yeah, the temptation there is to float that one in there, place it to that near pylon. Too much air under it for Xavier as Simpson was able to settle up under that. And that's our first look really at Fabian Facundo in this offense, Brant. We're going to call his name a lot tonight, featured in the offense and a principal player on that defense.
You heard Ben call for 4-down territory. Here it is against the blitz. Another deep ball, and the ball is just overthrown. Breaking early for a chance to try to make that catch for the Cougars was Bobby Risk. Maybe turned to his shoulder a little bit too soon. Didn't keep running. And it's a turnover on downs.
A little miscommunication there, Brant, as the ball, rightfully so this time, was thrown to the outside and not enough air under it. And I think perhaps losing it in the lights is Risk as he's looking back, and then the late adjustment to a ball that's over his shoulder. It's a tough catch for, guys in the pros, that's a tough catch, and in college. And Bobby and the quarterback Xavier just unable to hook up there.
Well, kind of the same story for Canyon, both sides of the football. The Canyon's offense able to move, able to drive, but can't finish. Defensively, they have forced New Braunfels into third and longs, but can't get them off the field. First down run for Reading. As a flag flies in, this might come back for a few yards for the time being, about second down and 8.
I saw Watanabe and Pettis getting in there. James Pettis, who played on the offensive side of the football last year, Brain, as a tight end. They move him over to that defensive tackle position, and he's really transitioned well alongside Josh Heiser.
And it is a hold, by the way, coming back, so New Braunfels will start first down and 20 after the flag. You look at this, by the way, this New Braunfels offensive line. They got some big bodies up there. Left tackle, Weston Wright, 305, a senior. At right guard, Michael De Guevara, 270 pounds. They got some big boys up front.
Yeah, a lot of beef, and Weston Wright is one of those few kids in the area that he'll have the opportunity to play on Saturdays in the upcoming years, and you could see why at 305 pounds.
First and 20, another screen. Catch made again. And Piali Thomas on the receiving end of that screen pass is back to about the original line of scrimmage at around the 35-yard line to bring up second and 10.
Good pursuit as you saw Martin Davis here, number 9, coming in to make the tackle from behind as he sheds that block there. Helmet comes off, so he'll have to sit out this play, and I can tell you he's not happy about it. But, all for naught there, I guess. with the penalty is you just keep it at 2nd down and 10 here.
And they bring in Aaron Rodriguez, a linebacker, in his place. Play action, a pass over the middle, man wide open, but the ball is dropped. New Braunfels had an easy target right down the seam. The pass going for Marcus Frangel, and it brings up 3rd down and 10.
Pretty basic there and simple in the play design. You fake the handoff with Thomas up the middle, and sure is what you want from that play design. The Cougars secondary gets in, and then you sneak out your running back, Frangel, out of the backfield. And that could have been an easy pitch and catch, and the Cougars catch another break. Another thing here, Brant, 3rd and long for this Cougar defense.
Yeah, broken record right now.
Yeah, sure enough.
Passing down, but whistle's blown first. And now it's going to go from 3rd and 10 to 3rd and 15.
Well, it's a big question if you're the Cougars defensively. Do you get aggressive in this spot? It's burned you. Do you only rush 3 or 4? And that's burned you as well as you drop 7 or 8 into coverage. But, you go back to that play that we just saw. Eric Taylor here, the defensive end, quick off the snap. So, if anything, I want to get his motor going, so perhaps you do get aggressive here and hope that he gets to Reading before he makes a decision to get rid of the football.
Canyon's defense still looking for its first stop tonight. Can they get it here on 3rd down and 15? They'll bring 4. High snap. Reading, a yeoman's job is to get to the football, going deep, and the pass is caught inside the 30. Down to the 26, Austin Schriever. A broken play for the Braunfels still yields a large one.
Able to stay in the pocket and step in. You avoid the pass rush from the outside from Eric Taylor and Facundo, as you just saw, a step behind. Schriever had that inside step, so even as he tries to make a play on the ball, just about a half step behind, and a good job effort by Facundo just to not let Schriever get down the field even farther.
43-yard pickup for the Braunfels on 3rd down and 15. On 1st down here, Reading churns up to the 23. Davis a tackle after a gain of about 4 yards, bringing up 2nd down and 6 to go, under 10 minutes remaining in the 2nd quarter. And New Braunfels' offense has been dynamite so far tonight.
Yeah, as we think about what we've seen for the Canyon Cougars early in this year, and tough games versus Cedar Ridge and tough games versus San Marcos and Madison, I have not seen anything like this. As the Unicorn offense, really nice bounce-back game so far.
On 2nd down, Reading buying time, pressured, gets out of 1 sack, heaving it and throws it away. And by the way, a few umbrellas out, a small drizzle right here at Cougar Stadium for the time being, and another 3rd down coming up for the Braunfels.
First really good look at the Cougars putting pressure on Ryan Reading as he's keeping his eyes downfield, and just don't, we talked up Eric Taylor so much. You'd like to see him making that play when he has an opportunity. Reading quick to get the ball out in a normal offensive setting. It tells me that Taylor's not going to have a lot of opportunities to get pressure on him.
The Unicorns have to reach the Canyon 17 for a first. A 4-man rush. And the protection holds up for the Braunfels. The catch is made, reaching out inside the 5. They're going to mark the receiver down to the 1-yard line. Schriever getting another dart thrown there by Reading.
Just a simple go route there on the outside, gets inside leverage on Cooper Home, and it's a nice strike for the Unicorns there as you're starting to see breakdowns in the Cougar secondary.
Goal to go, and the handoff ends up in another touchdown for the Braunfels. Zachary Yaws, this time his 2nd rushing touchdown this year. And the Unicorns are 4 for 4 on drives and touchdowns so far tonight.
You not questioning here, Brant, that the Cougars' effort defensively, but I think you could just see that Unicorn offense just kind of wore them down on this possession. You see a lot of hands on hips. And the Unicorns big play after big play on that secondary, and then the handoff right up the middle. It's a tough effort for that Cougar defense going up against that.
Line drive kick is good, and it is all New Braunfels. 8:50 left. First half of the Wurstbowl. This is Canyon football on the Cougars Network.
If you bank at Frost, we'll help keep your money safe. If you use your Frost debit card, the chip will make it more secure. If there's a suspicious transaction on your card, you'll get an alert. If you do, you can freeze your card with the Frost app. If you lose your phone, Touch ID login will help keep the app secure. Of course, if all you need is help from people who care, we've got that too.
Daddy's gotta go to work.
Uh-oh. Sorry?
Watch FX, GVTC Digital Cable Channel 527. GVTC, just plain smart.
Seven plays, 65 yards for New Braunfels in its last scoring drive, and rolling here in the Wurstbowl. Ensuing kickoff, take it out to about the 30-yard line there by McKay. And here comes Canyon's offense trying to respond again, and again, the Cougars have had some moments, all phases of the game so far tonight, just have not finished, and as a result, it's a 28-0 score.
Deviated from the run from what I could see, Brand, as you see Haney and Orley able to get into a rhythm on first and second down, and then you use third and what we saw on fourth to take a shot deep. If I'm Canyon, I got to look at playing better organized football in the offensive set to play within the chains. And of course, by that is something like this, 3-4 yards on first down to set up everything to play ahead of the chains.
We've seen alternating series here for the running backs. So in the first and third series, it was Seth Haney. Now here in the fourth series, in the second, it's been Worley. Here it is a quarterback, Perez, and just shy of the first down marker. It's going to bring up 3rd down and 4 after that second down play.
It's got to be a sustained drive here, Brandon. I like this slow it down type of pace here. Coach Kirkland, that they want to get up and go for the Cougars, but sometimes what that means is you give the ball back to the other team quickly, and I think something sustained. You could slow it down, let your offensive linemen catch their breath, and focus on working at the point of attack.
And now whistles blow. Is there a timeout called? There is by New Braunfels. They're first. They have 2 remaining. And again, we have 8:17 remaining here in the second quarter. And New Braunfels on top big. And looking at the district the rest of this week, the game's all taking place tomorrow. Smith Valley at home against East Central. Big game in Converse. Judson and Steele battling there at Rutledge Stadium, and Wagner's at Clemens.
Well, partner, you've seen Steele in this week, and that's been the whole talk in the greater San Antonio area is what's happened to Steele. Now lost 3 in the row. You called that Smith Valley Steele game last week. Your impressions of what you see from the Steele program?
Well, first off, the Knights are looking down the barrel of a 1-4 start. Judson is very good, state championship caliber good. So as good as Steele is, that is a tough opponent tomorrow night. And you also have to consider who Steele has played. Lake Travis, one of those losses, the other against a really good O'Connor team, and then Smith Valley. So some of that is the opposition, but that used to be, when you run into Steele, that's a stiff competition right there. Mm-hmm. So they're off. They're not who they used to be, but I imagine by the end of October, they'll be right there in the playoff race. 3rd down play, but not enough for the first down here. Worley stopped after a minimal gain. And Canyon on 4th down is going to punt the ball back to New Braunfels.
As much as I want them to go for it here in this scenario, you just can't afford a quick strike for New Braunfels going the other way to make this 5 possessions. And it might be pound for pound, player for player. The best player on this field right now is Jacob Martinez, the Cougar punter and kicker. And so give him an opportunity to at least try to flip this field.
We should note, though, that New Braunfels has built this 28-0 lead without the aid of a short field.
Yeah, that's true, too.
They've gone 80 yards, 65 yards, 70 and 75 with their scoring drives, as that punt is down at around the 32-yard line. 32-yard punt there by Martinez, and here comes New Braunfels on offense again, and Consider last week at halftime, the Unicorns were down 42-0. And boy, they've played with a purpose so far tonight. That has to feel good for them being on the other side of the scoreboard.
Well, as we were doing that game in Wagner, there was a couple smiles on the faces of Cougar fans as saying, well, look what's happening to New Braunfels. Maybe that offense was all talk, and then it creeped into our head, well, do you want an angry Unicorn team with an offense looking to respond?
Here's Thomas running it outside. A nice burst just shy of the 40. McKay on the tackle there. That's good for 6. Second down and 4 here for New Braunfels.
McKay in good pursuit here by 9. Davis tracking, and again, this Unicorn team has been able to do it on the outside vertically, but you talk to, or you look at how Davis, check that, Thomas and Redding is unable to turn the corners on the ground, and that Cougar defensive front not allowing contain to be broken.
Option play. Nobody available on the far side of the field. Redding trying to reverse his field, and Canyon, good job of wrapping him up before he could find that alley. A flag was thrown, though, back of the 40-yard line, and we'll check the marker before third down comes up.
And look at 8 right here, not getting in. You square up Redding. You don't let him make the first move there. You play a game of chicken, and Redding then has to do something with it. You stay square with him, and then help eventually comes, and you make the play. That's a good effort there by Antonio DeLeon, and he gets credit for the tackle.
And by the way, a hold called against New Braunfels. Can't recall many penalties called against Canyon tonight, more so against New Braunfels, but to their credit, the Unicorns have overcome those.
And penalties have been the name of the game for the Cougars. Going back into their non-district contest, they were averaging about 6 a game, and it wasn't just the number, Brand, it was when they were happening. A couple of those taking points off the board. And so at least that part of the game has been cleaned up.
Now 3rd and 7. 5-man rush for Canyon. Redding again going deep. Had a receiver, but there were 2 Cougars back there to defend. Good job step coverage there from Zach Van Steel. And New Braunfels finally will bring out his punt unit.
Yeah, first time for that, so good hold by that Cougar defense. And now you start playing the battle of field position where the kicking game becomes so vital. As Rivera is standing back, perhaps he could get a good return here and jumpstart this Cougar offense.
The punter is Welsh Lavender, averaging about 34 yards a punt this season. Collects a high snap and gets the punt away. And squirts it bounds out around the 20-yard line. 44-yard punt there. With 6:20 to go in the first half, Canyon defensively gets his first stop. Let's see if the offense now can respond and get its first points.
And what I would like to see here, Brant, and you don't see a lot of these, but they do happen, and Canyon has an offense that can manufacture this, as there's, as you said, 6 minutes and 20 seconds left before the half. You know New Braunfels is going to, Canyon is going to get the ball to start the second half. Something long and sustained, a nice 5.5 minute drive that takes the length of the field would be exactly what the doctor ordered. And the way the Cougars are running the football, Brand, they have the ability to do that.
So far, a tough go of it for Perez passing the ball, 1 of 6 with an interception. Here he'll run it after breaking 1 tackle. Takes a couple of New Braunfels Unicorns with him for the first down to the 32-yard line.
That was a gain of 11 about, and 15 of those after contact is what it felt like, as Perez able to keep his feet moving and move the pile forward. Good start to this drive.
And here is Haney. Bustles up to the 35 for about 3 more, setting up second down and 7. If you go back to the beginning of the year, and Canyon got the really tough news, learning that they had lost Clayton Steele and Jacob Becca for the season, 2 playmakers, one at receiver, the other at tight end. Who would make the plays in offense for this team outside of Perez at quarterback? We didn't know about Seth Haney coming into 2017. We know about him now.
Same could be said for Owen Worley as well.
That screenplay not going to do a whole lot. David Gonzalez on the catch. And that's going to set up third down at about 4 to go.
What I hope is that at least gets Xavier into some sort of rhythm throwing the football to his wide receivers. He hasn't been terribly consistent. There's been a lot of deep throws. And in a rivalry game, he's young, he's a junior. Good effort to try to just settle him down.
Here's a backside screen. Catch is made by far, but doesn't get far. At the 40-yard line, they'll mark him about 2 yards short of the first down.
And I think Brand's still too risky to go for it here. It's a 4-possession ball game. Chances are, if you're the Cougars, you have a chance to get this ball back before the half. So I think this is a good decision by Coach Muchigimba at his own 40 on 4th and 2 to send out Jacob Martinez and hope he gets a better foot into this. And Brand, no return man for the Unicorns. They are in punt safe, so an opportunity for this ball to roll.
And it will. A Cougar roll inside the 25. It lands down to the 21-yard line. 39-yard punt there by Martinez. The Braunfels football leading 28-0.
Well, as we mentioned that, Brand, 4 minutes and 37 seconds. If this Cougar defense could step up like they did last time, force a quick 3-and-out or maybe even a 4 to allow the Unicorns to get a first down, you have an opportunity, and this is how quick things could change. You get a score before the half, and then you score on your opening possession, and all of a sudden it's a different ball game. So everything's still in the works here for the Cougars. They just got to get a stop here.
The rain still coming in here to Cougar Stadium. A lot more umbrellas out of the stadium. First down play is a reception and a nice run afterwards across the 30 to the 32 by Mitchell Black, his second catch tonight. And that's good for New Braunfels' first down.
It's Fabian Facundo on that outside, unable to get out of that block to move downfield. I saw a little jersey tug there as Shriver was the blocker out there for New Braunfels. Might have gotten away with something as the referee didn't have a good look at that.
First down running play here for Thomas, and the Cougars a good job of angling to him and bringing him down. James Perez on the stop there for Canyon, setting up second down at about 8 to go. Again, Piali Thomas, New Braunfels' feature back coming into the game tonight. Not a lot of action their first 4 games, but heavily involved so far this evening. He scored the game's first touchdown back in New Braunfels' first drive. Play action here on second down. Pressure comes. Redding evades, throws, and another catch made by Black. Boy, Ryan Redding has been a magician tonight getting out of trouble.
And avoiding secondary trouble here as he steps up into the pocket, and Brand, that's key. You have to step up into the pocket. You see so many quarterbacks try to spin out of that to the outside, and then that would have been prime for Eric Taylor. But Redding steps up into the pocket. You step into protection, and the result of that is now Taylor's got to turn, reverse his field, and then catch up from behind. That's good quarterback play.
Final 3:20 of the second quarter. A running play here on first down. Stuffed out by the Cougars. There's Eric Taylor making a play. You've heard Ben talk about Taylor having a tough time against this New Braunfels offensive line. Sheds that block and makes a tackle.
Well, he's that anchor, and he's out on that defensive line, and then at the end of that, and we've seen him make play after play, and he's just been, I guess, frustratingly quiet in this ball game as the Unicorns have done a good job of neutralizing him.
Second and long. And again, the run play, and again, Taylor on the stop of Yaws. At around the 48-yard line to bring up third down and long. And note, a passing down coming up with the rain coming down as well. That is a slick football right now.
Yeah, and I was about to say, earlier when you brought up the rain, that these two offenses probably won't be affected. They like running the football, but the key there, Brand, is throwing down here on third and long, and who knows here, as we just thrown another element into this ball game that I don't think we can account for.
So far, New Braunfels 5 for 6 on third down tonight. Here's the blitz. Great protection by New Braunfels. Open receiver. Catch again is made. And a first down to Austin Shriver. And again, there's the blitz in the face of Redding. He steps up and makes a gorgeous throw.
Oh, and I think it was all done on that outside, the left side of that Unicorn line. We mentioned Weston Wright. He's going to play his college football somewhere next year, and he does a good job of taking that Cougar rusher and kicking him to the outside. And I believe that was Cole Seeley, the outside linebacker, just unable to turn the corner as he was pushed away.
Now from the 23, Redding, pump fake, going end zone, but overshot for the receiver. Fangel, the short left corner of the end zone, 2nd and 10.
It's good coverage by McKay as he's able to shield that receiver and kind of body him up. That's a good pass by Redding, but McKay is able to get his body in position to make sure that the only place that Redding could go is to the back shoulder of the receiver, and I don't think the receiver was expecting that.
You heard Ben mention next week is a bye for all teams in the 27-6A district, but after the bye week, Canyon's road not getting any easier. They'll host Clemens 2 weeks from tonight. A screen to the far side, and picking his way down to the 13-yard line on the catch for the Braunfels. His first one this year, Blake Fain. That's good enough, I believe, with the first down.
Yeah, Davis making a good play on that. Just again, maybe a half step. I don't want to say late. It's just behind on that pursuit angle, and unable to get there with the late tackle. And you got to rely on Fansteel to clean things up at that safety position. As I think this is going to be.
They do mark it short.
Very short, yes.
Yep, 3rd down, less than a yard here for the Braunfels. With the rain hounding down. At the backfield, Piali Thomas again a touchdown earlier in the game. And Redding will keep it. Canyon, great pursuit. Taylor was there. Initial contact, though, made by Cole Seeley. And that first down saving tackle made on the previous play turned out to be pretty big.
Good pursuit right up the middle, untouched. Seeley unable to bring him down on first effort, but you blunt his progress. And Eric Taylor comes in to finish Redding off. It's a good stand by the Canyon Cougars, and decision time perhaps for Coach Glenn Mangold. 46 seconds left. I think the thing that goes unnoticed in this drive, Brant, is the Unicorns got the ball with about 4 minutes left and have effectively bled all the time out. They know that Canyon's going to get the ball to start the second half, so all that talk we talked about in the pregame about Canyon possibly going 2 for 1 is almost erased. And if I'm Coach Glenn Mangold for the Unicorns, I'm going to keep my offense out there. You get this first down on 4th and 1, you almost ensure that Canyon's not going to see the ball till the start of the second half.
Out of this timeout, Canyon's defense still on the field, and the offense for the Braunfels out there as well. Not a first half featuring a lot of highlights for Canyon. A stop here would be one of them. 4th down and a yard from the Canyon 14-yard line.
We'll see if Redding goes under center, and he is, Brand, so watch the exchange.
Trying to sneak it, and he is denied. Canyon's front 7, great job of penetration. Tackle is made for the Cougars by Facundo to eliminate a chance there for Redding to escape and make a play, and the Cougars get a turnover on downs.
Yeah, I see 36, Cole Seeley as well, making the contact that makes Redding bounce it out to the outside, but the run stoppers, the Bull Moose up there up front, making sure that nothing happens up the middle. And, you run quarterback sneak. Oftentimes you see the quarterbacks go to the left or the right. That's usually their first option. But when it comes their second, that usually doesn't work out for them. And great stop, especially for a running quarterback like Redding. You would think that he would be natural at improvising in that scenario. But the Cougars making him pay and stopping him down, and we'll see what happens here, Brant. 38 seconds left to go before the half.
And Canyon does have all 3 timeouts left, but again, a long way to navigate here. It's a run to Worley. And picks up about 4 yards there to the 19-yard line. Canyon is hurrying back to the line here. Clock is ticking inside of 30 seconds to go.
They have their timeouts.
And Perez wants to throw, going deep, looking for Facundo, and over his head. But there was a penalty marker thrown at the sideline. In coverage there for New Braunfels was Luke Simpson.
I think this is going to be a sideline interference, as you had the sideline judge here run into some of the assistant coaches. And so that flag flew up in the air, excited all of us here on the home side. But I think this is going to go against the Cougar bench. And we'll see the call here from Chuck Myers.
And there you go, Ben. And so instead of elation there and a chance for Canyon to maybe get into Hail Mary range, now with 12 seconds to go, this half is likely about to come to a close with Canyon down 28-0. Again, this game a year ago, very similar first half. And at the end of 3 quarters, the Braunfels led 42-17. That was a score, in fact, with 7 minutes to go in the game. It wound up being a 42-35 affair with one last shot for Canyon at midfield. A run play here to end the first half by Worley. A nice run at that. The clock does stop to move the chains after a gain of about 13 yards, but with 3 seconds to go, not much else Canyon can do.
Well, they have timeouts. If they want to do something with it, they have all 3. The Cougars still aren't set.
Final snap to Perez, the give to Worley. Yields a couple of yards, and that will do it. The 36th edition of the Wurstbowl is all New Braunfels so far. Your score at the end of the first half, Unicorns 28, Cougars 0. This is Canyon Football on the Cougars Network.
College football, you don't have the luxury of looking ahead. Every Saturday's a different way of destroying your season. They'll make the ground shake. They'll make your eyes burn. They'll show you hate and disrespect unlike anything you've ever seen. Don't think about January when there's a Wolverine coming for your face in September. The biggest game, the only game, is the one you're playing.
What is the fastest land animal in the... Oh!
It's a cougar. It's a cougar. It's a cougar.
Get to know our Cougars in a whole new way as they take the Cougar Challenge. Who do you think actually gave the Canyon Cougars their mascot? Fun questions will bring out the real competitors in this group. What's the math on that? Puma, mountain lion, panther, catamount, deer lion, they go on and on. How do you spell Coach Muchagamba?
Triceratops.
I bet Coach Mooch would appreciate that, huh? And then
Burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire.
Cougars Network brings you Cougar Challenge every week, only on Cougars Football with Joe Muchagamba.
Please don't hate me if I get it wrong, Coach.
Where Zaxby's is from. Some like it classic. Some like it saucy. For others, it's gotta be crispy. But everyone loves the flavor that brings us together. And whether you like it spicy or old school, you'll like it even more. Because Zaxby's 5 fan favorites are now just $5.99 each. Friends, family, flavor. Zaxby's.
Welcome back to our live coverage here of the 36th edition of the Wurstbowl. Your score at the half, it is New Braunfels 28 and at Canyon 0. Brent Freeman here with you for the Cougars Network, now joined by first-year Canyon High School principal Casey Whittle. And Casey, welcome, and thanks for being here tonight. And should I call you Coach, by the way? You've coached this game for a while before.
It'd be an honor. Yes, sir.
Well, Coach Whittle, thank you for being here this evening.
Appreciate it.
As I said, this is your first year being the principal here at Canyon High School. You came from Wiley, and this is your first ever Wurstbowl. What are your thoughts on the game and the environment so far?
What a great atmosphere. The fans are they've come out and support. It's overwhelming to see just how much they filled the crowds, both sides of it, and just kind of the energy and passion that both sides have, and then how kind of cool it is that I think what I've heard is at the end of this whole thing, they're all kind of friends. They all know each other. So what a cool, awesome environment. What a great Friday Night Lights.
Well, we spoke about your football background, so you've seen this first half. What do you make of the first 24 minutes of action so far?
Well, we've got. I feel like we're hanging in there. We've got to maybe run the ball a little bit more. Need a big play, something 20 yards or more, and get everybody get the momentum changed and shifted. Get a couple stops, and get down there and make some plays.
Well, we mentioned you came from Wiley to Canyon. So, what is it that brought you here to the Comal ISD, the city of New Braunfels?
Sure, I was working in the curriculum department in Wiley, and just really missed kids, and had some contacts down here. I have some family that live in Georgetown. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law used to live in the Stone Oak area, and so my family used to come down and visit quite often. I had visited Canyon High School 2 times prior over the last 2 years, and I've got a real good friend in the administration office that I was able to kind of work with, and I felt like that I love the tradition, I love the kids here, and what I saw as I walked the halls was great kids and good teachers, and I thought that I'd love to be a part of that. What is it that you would like to do while you're the principal here at Canyon High School? I think just really focus on kids and celebrate kids and kind of pull out all that tradition and all that history that's at Canyon High School and kind of revamp that and kind of pull and get kids excited about coming to school at Canyon, and then get kids excited about being a part of programs. I think sometimes in education we get caught with only the negative news gets outside the walls of the school, and really kind of celebrate what our kids do and kind of put the focus on them and not on the adults. Speaking of history and tradition, the week of school leading up to this game tonight, obviously no school tomorrow, but what has it been like on campus in the build-up towards this game? Well, you know, when you've got a big game or you've got a big event at a campus, the week obviously flies by. A lot of energy, a lot of passion, a lot of people talking about the game. We really kind of tried to red out the school, if you will, today. We passed out 300 shirts. That said Cougar Nation, so that was cool, and we had some wristbands and we had some decals, and the kids are just excited, and the week kind of flies by. I always say people have a little bit extra pep in their step, and so that makes the week a little bit more enjoyable. Well, we look forward to expanded coverage of Canyon athletics here in the Cougars Network and working with you. So again, Casey, welcome to Canyon High School, welcome to the Comal ISD, and enjoy the second half. Thank you so much, I appreciate it. Then again, Casey Whittle in his first year as principal here at Canyon High School. More halftime coverage coming up. This is Canyon Football on the Cougars Network.
Do you know what's perfect? Wick Productions teaming up with the Canyon Cougars. No kidding. We take pause when we hear you cheer for replays on the scoreboard. And we love the feline we get when you visit CougarsNetwork.com. Don't forget to subscribe, right? Meow. Isn't that right? What? Cat got your tongue? I mew it.
You want to see something big? Maybe some drama. You looking for thrills? You want to see something epic? Nah, Travis. Really epic. You want a showdown? How about some action? Then we'll see you for Primetime's #1 show. Sunday night is football night. Only on NBC. Cut!
When is shoe shopping more than just shoe shopping? When it's shoe shopping for a cure. Shop QVC presents Fanny Shoes on Sale. You'll find beautiful shoes by top designers, all at 50% off. And every purchase benefits breast cancer research and education. Great shoes for a great cause. What's not to love? Tune in Thursday, October 12th at 6 p.m. Eastern. Shop all October long at QVC.com.
The all-new Nissan of New Braunfels. Our modern and architecturally impressive building is more like an art gallery than a dealership. With an extravagant showroom floor and customer lounge, with over 500 vehicles in stock, we have the ability to deliver the best savings possible to meet your budget needs. It's our pleasure to serve you in New Braunfels and the surrounding Hill Country communities. The all-new Nissan of New Braunfels, you've got to see this place.
Did you ever play Tetris as a kid? Yes, I did. Watch out.
I couldn't find a chain for you guys, but I got my necklace from the car.
It's starting to feel like a home. Welcome to your new house.
Oh my gosh.
I cannot believe they turned that into a house.
Watch FYI. GVTC Digital Cable Channel 132. GVTC, just plain smart.
Experience the best seat in every ballpark with MLB Network Strike Zone. Catch baseball's biggest moments from around the league live on one channel.
You gotta be kidding me.
See the clutch hits,
It's a goner.
great grabs,
Unbelievable.
and walk-off winners,
Game winner.
all without changing the channel.
Let's go home.
Bring home MLB Network Strike Zone. Tuesday and Friday nights, commercial-free all season long.
The wait is over. Chip and Jo are back with more Fixer Upper. I love you.
You ready to do this?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. You slayed it.
Whoa!
You killed it.
This is amazing.
Yes!
Fixer Upper, Tuesday night at 9, only on HGTV.
Watch HGTV, GVTC Digital Cable Channel 578. GVTC, just plain smart.
And welcome back to Cougar Stadium for the 36th edition of the Wurstbowl. You scored the half to Braunfels 28, Canyon nothing. Just now exiting the field, the performance by the New Braunfels Marching Band and their dance team coming up here momentarily. We'll have the playing of the Canyon Marching Band and their performers here as well. And again, earlier moments ago at halftime, we visited with first-year principal at Canyon High School, Casey Whittle. And coming up in just a bit of our halftime coverage, a look at the first half stats and this week's Cougar Challenge. But again, coming up in a few moments, the performance by at halftime by the Canyon Marching Band.
Flimsy microwave bacon tastes, but Wendy's oven-baked bacon tastes. Add it to fresh, never-frozen beef, and you've got a Junior Bacon Cheeseburger. A JBC with 4 nuggets, fries, and a drink is what makes Wendy's 4 for $4 so deliciously different.
Well, I don't think so.
It's a good deal, right?
Coach, this is a 2538, 37 horsepower, most lift capacity of any tractor in its class, and no depth fluid.
Well, the best part is it's the right color.
Get closer to the action like never before with NASCAR Race Hub on FS1. At the track.
Looks like Superman won.
In the shop.
Catching up with Joey Logano.
On the headsets and behind the scenes.
Every night, the place to be.
All season long. Hear the story from the drivers who lived it.
That's how tough the track was to drive.
And get the ultimate setup from the legends of the sport.
You can't script it. There's certain things out of your control.
NASCAR Race Hub. All season long on FS1.
Again, at the half, your score, New Braunfels 28, Canyon nothing. We just saw the playing of the New Braunfels Marching Band and dance team at halftime. Now time for the Cougar Marching Band and their dance team performing at the half of the 36th edition of the Wurstbowl between the Cougars and the Unicorns.
And Shelby Altman. The band would like to thank their many generous donors and sponsors, including Nuke's Eatery and Great American Cookie of New Braunfels. Tonight, the band will premiere a portion of their 2017 competition show entitled Only Human. We will complete it and begin premiering it in competition next Saturday on October 7th. Soloists this evening include Gabriella Canari, Dante Henshin, Lane DeBello, Candace Coffey, Brian Stancic, Jose Perez, Chris Lauterbach, Rebecca Hylett, Joseph Hurdle, Lacey Dowdy, Mia Smock, Hannah Bear, Andrew Rochester, and Taylor Waite. Now sit back and enjoy the sounds of your Cougar Band. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Canyon High School proudly presents the 2017 edition of the 14-time national champion, the Canyon High School Aristocats. The Aristocats are under the direction of Taylor Goodman and assisted by Kerry Brown. The social officers are Cassandra Bublasis, Ava Ferguson, Aubrey Campbell, and the head social officer is Cassidy Franz. The dance officers are Junior Lieutenants Kelsey Gomez and Grace Warren. Senior Lieutenants Bailey Brooke, Shelby McGrath, and Madison Noble. First Lieutenant Polly Lopez. The Aristocat Captain is Alyssa LeBron. And the Aristocat of the Week is Callie Alcorta. Now sit back and relax as the Aristocats perform an entertaining streamer jazz routine to "We Built This City." The twirling captain is Megan Darte. The Canyon High School band staff includes Jason Adams, Steve Aiden, Brad Arnold, Amanda Fonner, Renee Gonzalez, and Jesse Skoll.
Stream live episodes of your favorite shows on the Food Network app. Download the app and watch the latest shows for free.
Who's got it?
The chance to become a Food Network star.
Well, you know I gotta check it out.
Because you're in control.
Let's get these baskets open. Whose dish is on the chopping block?
Your shows.
Well done.
When and where you want them.
It's a life lesson. I'm putting your creative intelligence to the test today.
Wow.
Action.
Stream now on your favorite devices.
The wait is over. Chip and Jo are back with more Fixer Upper. I love you.
You ready to do this?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. You slayed it.
Whoa.
You killed it.
This is amazing.
Yes!
Fixer Upper, Tuesday night at 9, only on HGTV.
Watch HGTV, GVTC, Digital Cable Channel 578. GVTC, just plain smart.
MLB Tonight brings you closer to the pennant chase.
Devastating slider. Leaping grab. That's number
number 3.
Closer to the epic moments.
That ball is gashed out to center.
And a dive and a catch.
Closer to the critical plays.
Now you can use your hands more.
Now I go into a fine focus. Boom.
The analyst of MLB Tonight, bringing you closer to the pennant chase.
This is it.
On MLB Network, home of 2 American League Division Series games.
Texas Flip and Move is ready to roll.
I could not be more excited about this.
Who'll be the Lone Star State's big flipper? Each team buys low and sells high.
The bigger the risk,
the bigger the reward. Texas Flip and Move, Friday night at 9, only on DIY Network.
Watch DIY, GVTC Digital Cable Channel 126. GVTC, just plain smart. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Comal Independent School District, Frost Bank, Nissan of New Braunfels, Wick Productions, Ashley, Zaxby's, and Texas Tractor Country.
And welcome back to Cougar Stadium here on the Cougars Network. A lot of wood to chop for Canyon heading into the start of the second half. Cougars down 28-0. Looking back at the first half, Ben, and as the score would indicate, it was all New Braunfels.
Yeah, and the statistics would show that as well, as the Unicorns were approaching 400 yards of total offense in that first half to Canyon's 109. And when you look at the distribution of those numbers, Brant, 103 yards of those 109 yards came on the ground, and it seemed to me that when the Cougars got in trouble, they abandoned the run to try to keep it through the air, and that kind of set them behind the chains. Now, you got to think to yourself, you think Canyon is going to get the ball at least 4, maybe 5 possessions in that second half. And so if you're asking yourself what's the anatomy for a comeback win, one, you got to really bunker down on this Unicorn offense and maybe limit them to just one more score in this second half. And Brant, you got to get some big play in the kicking game. You look at this ball game, it's a rivalry game. You expect crazy things to happen, but we've seen special teams play kind of be even and not a lot of big plays. So if you're a Cougar fan out there and you're wondering how do they get back into this ball game, you need all those things and to play almost flawlessly on offense. But from what we've seen of the Canyon Cougars over the past week, step back in that first half, yes, but they were playing some good football coming into tonight's ball game, and you hope that they could carry that here to the second half.
Now, for me, the biggest number of the first half was third down conversions. Canyon offensively 0 for 4, New Braunfels, meanwhile, 6 for 7. As a result, time of possession, New Braunfels doubled up Canyon in that first half. 15 minutes, 43 seconds for the Unicorns, 7 minutes, 48 seconds for the Cougars. When you're not on the football field and you put New Braunfels' offense on the field, tough to win that way.
I think that leads to the heartache, Brand. It's not only 6 for 7, it's the fact that you had New Braunfels in third downs on 7 times, and that's 7 times throughout that first half that you feel, hey, we just need to stop here and we'll get off the field. And that just didn't happen in that first half. So a heartbreaking statistic there as the Unicorns went 6 for 9.
And by the way, a brilliant first half for Ryan Redding, 14 of 20 passing for 203 yards and a touchdown. Also ran for 38 yards and a score. Tough for the Cougars to stop in that first half. And there is some good news to pass along right now. It's the fact that Canyon will get the football to start this third quarter and maybe a tone-setting possession for the Cougars if they are able to get down the field and score here.
You're not out of this football game yet in terms of, still 4 possessions. You're going to get the ball, 5, maybe 6 times in this second half. So you just got to piece it together. Bad half of football there by Canyon. It'd be nice if they could just block that out of their memory and put their foot forward here for a nice second half.
2 returners back deep here for the Cougars to start this third quarter. A lot of work to do, down 28-0. A short kickoff. Facundo fields it. Going back to the 20. Nice return. You heard Ben asking for a big play in the kicking game. And Facundo takes it up to the 44-yard line.
It runs right into the kicker for New Braunfels and Welsh Lavender, and really that would have been a good play even if Facundo lets that go out of bounds. But you get a nice seam down there, and look at him right here, one-on-one, tries to juke the kicker and then kind of gets his legs tripped up. But nonetheless, Brent, good field position on that opening kick. And again, this wasn't the problem for the Cougars in facing bad field position. In fact, they were able to get into the Unicorn side of the field a number of times. They just got to finish the drives.
Here's Perez on first down. He will keep it. A play-action throw. And the catch made by Gonzalez. That's good for a few yards. Setting up second down at about 7 to go. Going back to the special teams play, Ben, you were a kicker in high school, college. How many tackles were you in on?
There was actually a point 4 or 5 weeks into the high school football season, my senior year, where I was amongst the county leaders in tackles. Now, that doesn't say a lot about our kickoff coverage team.
I guess not.
But, you circle that newspaper clipping. I still might have that, actually.
Meanwhile, Haney on second down denied by New Braunfels' defense. Good tackle made by Joshua Matol to set up third down and 7 to go. And the rain pouring down again has really been coming down hard since about the midway point of the second quarter.
It's wonderful technology we have here at the Cougars Network when you get that sideline view and you can really see that bounce off the helmets. Beautiful shot.
From the press box, it's hard to kind of decipher the rain a whole lot, but right there in the field, yeah, you can see it. It's coming down. Third down pass for Perez, going deep for Facundo. In traffic, unable to haul it in. Despite a really nice effort there by Facundo at the last second, Cooper Kaufman broke it up.
This has been the story of the night for the Cougars passing the ball downfield. You get great one-on-one coverage by the Unicorns secondary, and you could just see how tight that window is for Perez to fit the football in. Perhaps Fabian could have adjusted a little bit, but I think you just tip of the cap there to the secondary man. That's pretty good coverage there on the outside.
So we're looking for an opening third quarter scoring drive for Canyon. Doesn't happen. And now at the punt is Martinez.
Back to return the Cougar punt.
And not a great punt, not a great fielding of the punt either there by Colson Clark. By the way, he's been in on 7 returns this year. That is his 5th fair catch and downs it out around the 30-yard line. That's good for a 25-yard punt. And now we see running of the offense come out for New Braunfels.
And not sustained, not even 2 minutes off of that clock. We were talking, does Canyon ditch their hurry-up offense, their fast-paced offense, and trade that in for ball control? And there you saw it. New Braunfels willing to give the ball for the opening kickoff of the second half, and within 2 minutes they have it back.
A throw on first down goes off the hands of the receiver, Yaws, bringing up second down and 10. So again, New Braunfels, great first half, 6 possessions, 4 touchdowns. Think about last week against Judson. New Braunfels punted the ball 9 times. They had more punts than they did first downs in the game, 8 against the Rockets.
You talk to the coaching staff, what happened? Well, Judson happened. And that pretty much says everything. And it just, you play who UIL tells you have to play, and you get one of the best teams in the nation.
Here's a screen, and Shriver is escorted out there by McKay. Right around the sticks, they're going to mark him just short, or maybe right there at the 40-yard line, close to a first down. Going back to Judson, by the way, again, the Rockets will host Steele tomorrow, as it is marked a first down here for Shriver. After that, their biggest test won't come until Week 10 against Smithson Valley in Converse.
Something tells me that perhaps district championship might be on the line that game.
That snap gets beyond Redding, but got to the football just before Eric Taylor could, as the Unicorns avoid a turnover there.
You're trying to crawl back into this ballgame. You're going to need luck here somewhere along the way, and that's just an unlucky bounce if you're a Cougar defender. Yes, it went through the quarterback, but how many times have you seen that ball bounce the other way while the quarterback's trying to fall on it, and maybe you have a shot? So, I count twice already in the second half. One, the punt return where the ball looked like it might have squirted out, and now here, as Redding was trying to gather it, the ball just not literally bouncing the way of the Cougars tonight.
Makes it 2nd and 20 for Redding in the offense. Throws far side, goes off the fingertips of the receiver, nearly into the hands of McKay. Yaws, the intended man there for New Braunfels, setting up 3rd down and 20.
Yeah, perhaps a little tip drill here for Fabian Facundo on the outside as the ball went right through Yaz's hands. And, you can't fault Fabian in that. You got to make a play on the receiver. And how many times have we seen a ball go through a Unicorn receiver's hand? You really haven't seen that tonight, especially in that first half. But here we go, Brant. I mean, same song, different verse. The Unicorns in 3rd and long, and can the Cougars get out of it?
They have to reach midfield for a first down. It is a running play. Thomas evades one tackler and a second and the first down. Piali Thomas on the draw. The Unicorns needed 20. He gives them 21.
Heartbreaking here. A lot of running room on the near sideline as the zone read just gets the Cougar defense to suck in, and then it becomes you never want to see your defensive tackle making the play 20 yards downfield. But because of that zone read and the Cougars getting messed up on it, that's what happened.
7 of 8 on 3rd down now for New Braunfels here tonight. Thomas again the carry, and again a big run inside the 30, and he is gone for the 2nd time tonight. Piali Thomas having himself a game. 34-0 New Braunfels.
Well, if you came into this ball game and you thought the Unicorn offense perhaps would be hindered by the rain, you got another thing coming. This is an offense that wants to keep it on the ground. Yes, they go spread and they go up tempo, but that doesn't mean that they aren't balanced or at least prefer to go on the ground. It's one of the things that Coach Mangold was talking about when he took the job at New Braunfels is get back to what they called, Unicorn football, big capital U, capital F, and that included running the football.
A 49-yard stroll into the end zone there by Thomas, and the PAT is good by Welch Lavender. How about Piali Thomas? 5 carries for $114 and 2 scores, and New Braunfels is rolling in the Wurstbowl. 35-0, 9:26 to go, 3rd quarter. This is Canyon Football on the Cougars Network.
Flimsy microwave bacon tastes, but Wendy's oven-baked bacon tastes. Add it to fresh, never-frozen beef, and you've got a Junior Bacon Cheeseburger. A JBC with 4 nuggets, fries, and a drink is what makes Wendy's 4 for $4 so delicious.
Whether you're out at the beach or chilling poolside, the summer heat is here and Music Choice is turning it up. Chill out with the latest music from your favorite kids artists and more. Your music lives here on Music Choice.
Hey guys, it's Sophia Carson here. Check out all of my music videos available on Music Choice On Demand. Available on GVTC. Just go to Free On Demand and select Music Choice.
Where Zaxby's is from, everyone loves the flavor that brings us together. And now you'll like it even more because Zaxby's 5 fan favorites are just $5.99 each. Friends, family, flavor. Zaxby's.
And welcome back to the Wurstbowl, our live coverage of the 36th edition of this game. A lot of tight affairs over the past several years. A 7-point game a year ago, but tonight doesn't have that feel. All New Braunfels early 3rd quarter. Short kickoff and chance for McKay on the return, but sliced down short of his own 30-yard line. And the Cougars start with about 60-plus yards to go. In fact, about 72 here. Trailing 35-0, 9:20 to go, 3rd quarter.
And the temptation will be to come out and throw the football around, but I think you're playing into the hands of this Unicorn defense. And Brant, we've seen this Cougar offense be so successful running the ball up the middle and taking the fight to that Unicorn defensive front. And I know it doesn't sound like it's going to work with 9 minutes and 20 seconds left in the 3rd quarter, and you're down by 5 possessions, but you look at the discrepancy there in the stats for Canyon and how well they've been running the football.
A lot of movement before the snap. This will come back 5 yards for the Cougars. And again, coming into the game, the feel of fireworks, both offenses, because neither defense was getting a lot of stops in their first 4 games of the year. New Braunfels' defense, after giving up 19 at Animal Heights in the opener, teams have been loading up the scoreboard against them. Seguin scored 42. St. Marcus scored 42. Judson 49 last week. In fact, New Braunfels has given up over 500 yards of offense in 3 consecutive games. And Canyon has moved the ball some tonight, but hasn't finished drives, and the Cougars haven't had that one big home run play to get things going. So you tip your cap to New Braunfels. They have corrected some things defensively so far this evening.
And perhaps a step, maybe step and a half back for Canyon. But Brant, you watch this Cougar offense, first year under Trenton Kirkland and their new offensive coordinator. You fill in the stats, and it's game by game you saw improvement. The total yards just keep incrementally going up each game, and then the points go up each game as well. And we're hoping for them to hit full stride here in the Wurstbowl, and it's just kind of gone in reverse.
And they're Worley on the carry, but he's met by 3 New Braunfels players there. No chance for any lane to run through, and that's going to bring up second down at 11.
Trying to run behind Solbrig, number 76 there, Jacob Solbrig, and a good pancake block on the outside.
Perez to throw, looking deep. Here's the pressure, and down he goes. Back at the 20-yard line. George Marsh on the tackle there for the Unicorns, setting up third down and a mile. And Canyon has to reach their own 39 for a first down here, backed up at their own 21. A screen over the middle, caught by Worley. But New Braunfels' defense is right there.
It's just tough to set up a screen and want something good to happen when the defense isn't being aggressive in that scenario. You know, maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 rushers there for for New Braunfels, and you just didn't see the setup of the screen really work out there, and good discipline by that linebacking core for New Braunfels, and Canyon will have to line up here and punt the football away.
Farley Bevel on the last tackle there for the Unicorns. How about this stat? Last week, Judson averaged about 20 yards per pass completion. Well, so far tonight, Perez has 4 completed passes for under 10 yards. And a timeout called by Coach Mooch. He got it in time before the clock wound down to 0 on the delay of game. And with 7:30 to go here in the third quarter, Canyon takes its first timeout down 35-0.
Well, and you know, back to what's happened with this Cougar offense. Even their passing attack, when they chose to get the ball downfield, perhaps Coach Muchagimba and this offensive coaching staff felt like they could take deep shots. You haven't seen a lot of intermediate throws. A lot of the shorter throws have been screens or whether they're to the running back or to the outside, and because they're taking shots deep, specifically we've seen Facundo targeted 2 or 3 times. With all those becoming incomplete, you look at the receiving core and who's holding grabs, and it's pretty bare. I think only 2 Cougars have caught passes from Xavier Perez. Not that diverse offense that we've been seeing over the past couple of weeks.
Here is a punt by Martinez. And Clark at the fair catch stumbles as he makes it down around the Cougar logo there at the 48-yard line. It's about 33 yards on the punt. No return, 7:22 left third quarter. All New Braunfels right now, a team that is on its way to a 4-1 start. And you look at the tenure for fourth-year head coach Glenn Mangold, and took over a program that was really down at the time Chuck Caniford left. His first year, the Unicorns finished 2-8. They won 2 more games the next season, going 4-6. Won 2 more games a year ago, reached the postseason going 6-5, and could be in line for another improvement in the win total this year.
Yeah, they thought perhaps they were ahead of schedule last time with a big late season win over Clemens, getting them into the playoffs. And you talked to that coaching staff and Coach Mangold, Brant, and they told you when they came here, and obviously Coach Jim Streety, longtime Unicorn coach, now athletic director, they said there's a good foundation here in New Braunfels. And reading between the lines, what that meant was we have to tear it down to the foundation and build it back up. And now year 4, you're starting to see what his vision is.
Could be a free play here for Reading on 2nd down and 6. He's going deep. Receiver wide open. Schriever got behind the defense somehow. But again, it was a penalty against the Cougars for being offsides. Reading decided why not. Comes up a bit short there, or long in the throw. but the flag will make it second down and short.
Really a tale of two offenses and their execution, Brant. And one thing that's a glaring difference is how many Unicorn receivers have we seen run by Cougar defenders when they make those big throws down the field. And on the other side, it's been blanket coverage by the Unicorn secondary, man. And, you know, circus catches need to be attempted in order to even get a play on the football for Canyon. And you know, perhaps the big play hasn't been there.
And there was an additional flag, by the way, on the throw, roughing the passer against Canyon. So not just a free shot there for the Braunfels, but they'll tack on 15 more yards.
I think that's just been the big difference. If both offenses came into this ball game thinking, let's take the top off the defense and stretch the field and throw the ball deep, it's been better executed by New Braunfels than Canyon, and that's been to a big detriment, not just for Canyon playing behind the chains, but the lack of diversity in their offense tonight.
Now first down from the 33 for Reading in the offense. It is a screen. It's too high. Overshot there for Mitchell Black, setting up second and 10. And as good as Reading has been, he has missed on a few throws.
Yeah, especially those short throws. We've seen perhaps a bit behind some of the receivers. You just saw there on the free play overthrowing Schriever, who was wide open. And, you know, perhaps a good coaching staff would take this film, and even though they're up big, you got to find ways to get learning moments out of games like this.
Speaking of which, a ball on the ground, still alive, and jumping back on it is Bryden Fuller for New Braunfels. Another bad snap from Ryland Meek, the center. Poor exchange on the attempt there by Reading to Caleb Gonzalez, and New Braunfels somehow avoids another turnover.
And again, immature teams might look at this result and say, well, whatever, coach, we got the win. But mature teams, good coaching staffs will find these teachable moments like we just saw. And really, we're speaking from the Canyon Cougars' point of view, Brant. The ball really hasn't bounced their way. You just got another example of the ball rolling around and not winding up in their hands. And that's really saved New Braunfels on some occasions tonight.
On 3rd and 20, Reading taking off. Looking for the first down. And he's got it. Inside the 20, another 3rd and long conversion by New Braunfels. Reading there took off and just sliced right through the Canyon defense.
I know our spotter statistician here, Chris, is doing a good job of charting, and of course he's taking down 3rd downs, but how many of those 3rd downs have been 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15? I think we've seen in this half a couple of 3rd and 20s already picked up on the ground.
And now from the Canyon 20, running play inside the 10, and their ball carrier will go in untouched. Touchdown New Braunfels. Joseph Labus on the carry, and a Cougar did not even get a hand on him.
You know, of all the numbers being compiled tonight, Brent, that 3rd down conversion rate might be the most impressive. I don't think I've seen a team pile up that many attempts and have only failed one time? Is that right?
Yep.
And so
8 of 9 now.
8 of 9. I mean, you're used to seeing teams attempt 9, 10 3rd down conversions, but you expect that to be 4 or 3, not a full set of 8.
Braunfels' rushing attack has just gashed the Cougars here all night long. 2 big back-to-back plays to cap off this drive. And the PAT makes it a 42-0 New Braunfels lead. More than halfway through the 3rd quarter, this is Canyon football on the Cougars Network.
The wait is over. Chip and Joe are back with more Fixer Upper. I love you.
You ready to do this?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. You slayed it.
Whoa!
You killed it.
This is amazing.
Yes!
Fixer Upper, Tuesday night at 9, only on HGTV.
Watch HGTV, GVTC, Digital Cable Channel 578. GVTC, just plain smart.
In college football, you don't have the luxury of looking ahead. Every Saturday's a different way of destroying your season. They'll make the ground shake. They'll make your eyes burn. They'll show you hate and disrespect unlike anything you've ever seen. Don't think about January when there's a Wolverine coming for your face in September. The biggest game, the only game, is the one you're playing.
Moments ago, Joseph Labus getting into the act for New Braunfels' untouched 20-yard touchdown run. Moments after the quarterback, Ryan Redding, converted on 3rd down and 20. And New Braunfels has been near perfect so far tonight, building this 42-0 lead in the 36 Wurstbowl. The kickoff goes off the shoulder pad of Facundo, but picked up by a teammate at around the 25-yard line. Heads up play by Antonio De Leon by Canyon.
Miscommunication between Facundo, their 3, and 46, Jarrett. Jarrett's supposed to call him off in that scenario as the up man. You don't usually want the up man drifting back. You want the return man running up to catch the football. And so, Brandon, that's about the 2nd or 3rd miscue in the kicking game we've seen for Canyon. And that's costing them some field position and another long way to go here.
Ben, more on the New Braunfels program. As we were talking about earlier, Glenn Mangold in his 4th year has turned things around so far at New Braunfels. Win improvement in each of the previous 3 seasons and on the way to their 4th win this year. This program is not far removed from a couple of state semifinal appearances back in 2007 and again in 2009, but things went south pretty quickly after that.
Yeah, they brought in Coach Caniford after Coach Rick Rhodes left, and a little sore subject for me. Coach Rick Rhodes was my coach at New Braunfels, and he's gone on to do good things over at Cameron Yo and now over at Gregory Portland down on the Coastal Bend. And it was kind of a move away from the identity of what Unicorn football was all about. All of a sudden they wanted to go 100 plays and throw it 90 and try to out-athlete the athletes, and then you remember we don't have athletes over there at New Braunfels. So they brought in Glenn Mangold and, of course, Jim Streety at that athletic program, and as we mentioned on the last possession, strip everything down, back to the foundation, let us build it back up. And, you had to have a bit vision and you had to have patience, and those dividends are starting to pay off for New Braunfels, who – I think Brant came into the season, maybe you thought Clemens would fight them back and get that 4th, maybe 3rd spot in the playoff race. And I don't know, the way things are going, they might not be an afterthought anymore in this tough district.
Well, Clemens is pretty good right now, too. The Buffaloes are 4-0. They won their 27-6A opener last week over East Central. And New Braunfels will host Clemens, 2nd to final game of the season. 3rd and 10 for Perez in the offense. Protection breaks down. Perez on the run, just dumps it off right before he's slung down to the ground. Good pass rush there by the Unicorns. Coming in was Nolan Scribner. And Canyon's offense goes 3 and out. From 2011 to 2015, New Braunfels football was 17-37, a winning percentage of .312. Change was needed, and again, Glenn Mangold appears to be the right man for the job.
Bringing the culture back, and you're right, Brant. I started calling high school football in this area in 2007, and that was that Unicorn team that was triple overtime away from advancing to the state championship game.
Boy, Clark again having issues fielding a punt and able to jump back onto the football at his own. 35-4-17 to go in this 3rd quarter. All Unicorns right now do wonder how much longer Ryan Redding will stay in the game. Meanwhile, while it's year 4 for Coach Mangold at New Braunfels, it's also year 4 for Coach Muchigimba here at Canyon. And you talk about taking over a program in a tight spot. Coach Muchigimba comes on the week before training camp opens, prior to the start of the 2014 season.
And you remember talking to Coach Mooch about that, and he says, here we are installing a game plan, and I'm not forget about who's going to play on the 2 deep. I'm trying to figure out who the names are. And of course, you could understand the slow start, but if you look what's on the other side of the sideline, and New Braunfels has their man, they gave him some patience and they gave him time to mold that team in the way he wants to mold it, and that should and will continue to be afforded to Coach Muchigimba as you've seen the new offense get installed. And
another big running play, and again on the run is Labus, and they won't catch him. 61 yards, touchdown New Braunfels.
and kind of there's a flag down there at the goal line. I think they're going to get a taunting penalty as man gets into the end zone. But Brent, just kind of continuing the thought here is if there's one thing I keep asking myself is the question, why not here? In the city of New Braunfels, you're in between San Antonio and Austin, the fastest growing area in the nation, and why not this area? Why not New Braunfels, and why not Canyon High School to have a big program, a perennial power? And
so you see the call there. So the touchdown is wiped off the board, and I guarantee you Labus is hearing about it now. We'll hear about it in the film room this weekend and probably running some laps as well.
Well, the point is he's not on our 2-deep, Brant. And so, if you're a backup guy.
You're a third, fourth-string guy, and that's what you do with the football. Not exactly, tossing the ball at the 1-yard line before going in, which we've seen far too much in football in recent years as the Cougars snuff out this first down play. But that's probably even worse.
Yeah, a penalty that brings you back and it clears. You saw the replay there. He's walking in, gives it the little gun salute there at the 1-yard line, and so it's a good call by the official. But that would be a good poll question. What's more boneheaded, making that play at the 1-yard line and getting flagged for it and taking the touchdown off the board, or casually dropping the football at the 1-yard line?
2nd and 9 now for Reading, and Yaws the carry, and he will cap off this drive with another Unicorn rushing touchdown. No matter who New Braunfels has given the ball to, well, they have been making plays tonight. Piali Thomas, here's Zachary Yaws. Despite the flag, great runs tonight so far by Joseph Labus, and this offensive machine is going like clockwork tonight.
Well, it all starts up front, and the Bull Moose there at center, and Rylan Meek getting a good kick-out block, and a lot of running room right up the gut there as they spread out that Cougar defense.
And now a 49-0 affair. Under 3 minutes to go, third quarter. This is Canyon football on the Cougars Network.
Get closer to the action like never before with NASCAR Race Hub on FS1. At the track.
Looks like Superman won.
In the shop.
Catching up with Joey Logano.
On the headsets and behind the scenes.
Every night, the place to be.
All season long.
Hear the story from the drivers who lived it.
That's how tough the track was to drive.
And get the ultimate setup from the legends of the sport.
You can't script it. There's certain things out of your control.
NASCAR Race Hub, all season long on FS1.
If you bank at Frost, we'll help keep your money safe. If you use your Frost debit card, the chip will make it more secure. If there's a suspicious transaction on your card, you'll get an alert. If you do, you can freeze your card with the Frost app. If you lose your phone, Touch ID login will help keep the app secure. Of course, if all you need is help from people who care, we've got that too.
Not long ago, New Braunfels won this game going away 69-2, and that was about 8 years ago. And this game has a similar feel to it. It has been all New Braunfels from the gun. The Unicorns scored at the opening drive of the game, and they have not looked back since then, piling up 49 points and about 2 3/4 of a quarter so far tonight. And at the return is Jarrett, stood up at around the 35-yard line. The Cougars offense trying to get something going. Any kind of momentum heading into the bye week would be crucial for Canyon over the final 14:45 of this game.
I think your message here from Coach Muchagimba is we have to turn the page. And if it means you throw out this ball game, and I think it's safe to say with 2 minutes and 45 seconds left in the third quarter, it's safe to do that down 49-0. But you're right, Brant. The red light for the camera is still on, and we got to go through film over the weekend and head into our bye week with some positive notes. So even if it is stringing a couple of first downs or, a late touchdown, something to give confidence back into this Cougar offense and team in general, because the last thing you want to do going into a bye week after a rivalry game is have all that time to think about it.
And Coach Mooch calls a timeout here for the Cougars, their second of this half, before their first down play here on the next drive. And Canyon will fall to 1-1 in 27-6A play. That's the important thing here to remember. The Braunfels will be 1-1, and there are 4 district games left this season, and a lot of stiff competition still out there for Canyon. They have yet to play Smithson Valley, Steele, Judson. There is such small room for error over these final 4 weeks of the season.
And you left out Clemens, who we just
Clemens,
talked about
yes.
of being a good football team. So obviously we'll do the cliche stuff of take it one game at a time. But, I mean, Brant, I could give you those teams. There's no way to draw up an easy schedule. You're going to face quality teams week in and week out. And even through all that, you can't sleep on East Central. I mean, as outmatched as they can be, as still a viable team.
This running play snuffed out. A loss back at around the 30-yard line. Cooper Kaufman with a great play off the edge there for New Braunfels on that running attempt by Marcel Chisel. And Canyon's backed up now to 2nd and 14.
Earlier we talked about the Unicorns still needing to clean things up here, even though they have a big lead, and that leads me to the larger point. You're involved in a game like this, Brant. One, New Braunfels will go back and they will not play as well as they think that they did. And conversely, good coaching staff here on the near sideline in red, they'll look at that film and they'll tell you we didn't play as bad as we feel like we did, down 49-0. And so while the Unicorn coaching staff has their challenge of bringing focus back to their kids who are coming off a big win, it'll be up to the Cougar coaching staff to look at that film and say, where can we find teachable moments?
And that pass broke it up. Is there a flag? There is. This drive will continue as the Cougar receiver and New Braunfels defensive back got tangled up, and this will be a first down for Canyon.
As Bobby Risk out there, and poor Bobby, he gets the PA call against him, and the ref throws his flag that bounced right off his chest plate.
You get the flag
right
against Jacob Miranda. When it rains, it pours, right?
Yeah. It's just been that type of day for Canyon, but they get a break there. And going back to my point, Brant, how do you keep the teaching situations with this team with young kids who are just disappointed in themselves? I mean, how do you keep their morale up and say, look, we're not here to beat you over the head and tell you how bad of a football team or how bad we played, because there's some good spots in here, and let's focus on that. But also, look, yeah, we did play poorly. Let's correct those things. And keep in mind, folks, I mean, we are talking about 16, 17-year-old kids. And if you ever met a teenager, you know that those emotions could go back and forth in a hurry.
Well, sports is about failure and learning from mistakes.
Right.
For Canyon, they've made their share of mistakes tonight as that running play to Worley is sent back for a loss to bring up 2nd down and 12. So for Canyon, this has to be a learning experience against the Braunfels because, again, the competition's only going to get better from here. The next opponent for the Cougars after the bye is Clemens, then Steele, and then Smithson Valley. That's, all due respect to the Braunfels, those 3 teams probably in line, if not better, than the Unicorns, as we see a nice run, one of the better ones of the night by Haney for a first down inside the New Braunfels 45-yard line.
Just didn't see enough of this, and not that this is a slight on Haney. I don't think the coaching staff called his number enough tonight. That he's showing you what you could do there, breaking a couple of tackles at the line of scrimmage and then getting upfield.
Perez will throw in first down. Under pressure. Not a run. Looking for the corner. Nice stiff arm. And out near the 30-yard line. In pursuit there was Matt Littlejohn, but Perez, a nice job with the stiff arm to get a few more yards on the play.
And getting him involved more in this offense as well. We didn't really see him take advantage of running the football, whether it was designed or not. Obviously, this one wasn't. I feel that those shots downfield kind of took Perez out of a rhythm in this football game. The Unicorns, Brant, look to take a timeout here.
And they do with 69 seconds to go in the third quarter, and Canyon down 49-0 here with a little more than 13 minutes to go in the football game and to go until the bye week. And again, you know, the Cougars will have 2 weeks to prepare for Clemens, and that's important to realize as well.
How do you use that bye week? If you're Coach Muchagimba, I guess, you know, we could ask him that when we get into Clemens week, but, you know, do you use it to self-evaluate and you know, ask your coaching staff, if we were playing ourselves, what would you try to pick apart from our team, or what would you think our weaknesses is? What would you think our strengths are? Or do you just use it to spend 2 weeks on Clemens, or do you use it just to heal up a little bit? Midway through the high school football season now, so up to that coaching staff to use that time wisely.
Here's Haney. Finds a corner, gets a block of the outside, and the first down inside the 25-yard line. Again, I got to tell you, not many silver linings for the Cougars tonight, but when Haney has carried the football, he's looked really impressive.
He's tough to bring down. Usually it's if the first man is making the tackle, as you saw right there, it's not an easy tackle to make. Nope. And Haney's still falling forward for 3 or 4 yards. But that's something that, you know, we've seen all year from him. And of all the games we've called, this is the one where you're not seeing that much of it.
A throw to the end zone into double coverage, broken up there by the Unicorns. That was a really tight window for Perez to try to fit the ball into, setting up 2nd and 10 now.
You're going to have bracketed coverage here as we get closer to the end zone. One man on top and one below. That's just – you said a tight window. I'm going to go ahead and go there's no window to throw that into.
Rear view mirror?
Perhaps.
It's pretty tight. 2nd and 10. Here's Haney again. Another nice run, slung down at around the 16-yard line on the tackle, Trevor Pierce. And now 3rd down manageable here for the Cougars as we hit the final seconds of the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, Bull Moose finally getting his workload in. And, you know, you looked at some of the halftime statistics and you were asking yourself, where's Seth Haney? And now we're starting to see him get back involved into it.
Facundo breaking a tackle and fighting for the first down. And it will be goal to go for the Cougars on their next play. Clock stopping to move the chains. And we'll see if Canyon can squeeze in one more play before we hit the 4th quarter. And it appears that they will not. 3 quarters in the books from the Wurstbowl. And New Braunfels has a commanding 49-0 lead. Start of the 4th quarter coming up. This is Canyon Football on the Cougars Network.
Stream live episodes of your favorite shows on the Food Network app. Download the app and watch the latest shows for free.
Who's got it?
The chance to become a Food Network star.
Well, you know I gotta check it out.
Because you're in control.
Let's get these baskets open. Whose dish is on the chopping block?
Your shows.
Well done.
When and where you want them.
It's a life lesson. I'm putting your creative intelligence to the test today.
Wow.
Action.
Stream now on your favorite devices.
Well, I don't think so.
It's a good deal, right?
Coach, this is a 2538, 37 horsepower, most lift capacity of any tractor in its class, and no depth fluid.
Well, the best part is it's the right color.
The 4th quarter starts. The Cougars in a goal-to-go position. And the first play of the final quarter is a pass. It's incomplete for Facundo. Bringing up 2nd and goal. The deepest the Cougars have been tonight at what has been a rough Wurstbowl against their rivals out of New Braunfels. And now 2nd and goal. Haney this time the call inside the 5 to the end zone. And Canyon is on the board. Seth Haney with his first rushing score this year. And the Cougars are now within 43.
I think with the pressure off, Canyon able to get back to what their original game plan was. And so the term that comes to mind was drinking out of a fire hydrant, perhaps early in this ball game as you see the lead extend to 2 possessions, 3, 4, 5. You feel we have to abandon the game plan, which is establish the run, because we got to get into it. And now as we enter the final frame, I think the pressure's off, and Canyon could just go back to their original game plan, and we're starting to see Seth Haney, and we're starting to see dividends paid.
10 seconds gone by, fourth quarter. Canyon with his best drive of the game. 49-7 Braunfels. This is Canyon football on the Cougars Network.
Stream live episodes of your favorite shows on the Food Network app. Download the app and watch the latest shows for free.
Who's got it?
The chance to become a Food Network star.
Well, you know I gotta check it out.
Because you're in control.
Let's get these baskets open. Whose dish is on the chopping block?
Your shows.
Well done.
When and where you want them.
It's a life lesson.
I'm putting your creative intelligence to the test today.
Wow.
Action.
Stream now on your favorite devices.
Flimsy microwave bacon tastes, but Wendy's oven-baked bacon tastes. Add it to fresh, never-frozen beef, and you've got a Junior Bacon Cheeseburger. A JBC with 4 nuggets, fries, and a drink is what makes Wendy's 4 for $4 so deliciously different.
Play 65-yard drive for Canyon ends on a touchdown run, 10 yards out by Seth Haney. And again, having a nice night tonight. 9 carries, 68 yards to the score, averaging just south of 8 yards per carry, and he continues to have a really impressive junior season.
Was coming into last week's ball game, Brian, almost averaging right on the nose of 100 yards a game. And, of course, he didn't get that last week versus Wagner as Worley took the bulk of the carries there. But, you know, he is a bright spot in this Cougar offense. It's something they could build on.
Here's Taylor on the return. Had a 90-yard touchdown return against Seguin and makes a couple of Cougars miss the tackles, still running, and finally tripped up by De Leon at around the 39-yard line. Well, it felt like that Taylor was running for about 3 minutes there. Nice return, setting up New Braunfels nicely on their next possession.
As we watch him come off the field, he's obviously tired. As you know, if we had advanced stats, we could probably track how far he actually ran in this play. But you know, this is the type of play where you're hoping for lane integrity from your coverage team, and luckily guys were where they were in their safety valve area and able to prevent an even bigger gain.
New quarterback in now for the Braunfels, Trey Johns. His first snap and hands it off, and nothing there. And on the carry is Labus. If you recall his last carry, he took it to the house 60-plus yards, but called for a unsportsmanlike taunting penalty at the 1. The touchdown wiped off, and New Braunfels had the ball sent back, yet they scored anyway on that drive. And now second down and long.
It was a good tackle there by Josh Heiser, 51, and nice to see him still getting some good snaps and coming off the football.
And Johns' first throw is a screen. And not a great job of tackling there by Canyon at a first
Ball
down.
came out.
But it scores to the bounds far sideline. All the catch there was Yaws. And it seems like New Braunfels has put the ball on the ground a lot tonight, but they get to every single one of them.
Or, you know, the ball just bounces in their favor. And here you have Facundo, who makes first contact and second, and that gets the ball out. It looked like Facundo had the ball there while his knee was down.
And that's the ruling. They're going to get the football to Canyon, so that fumble does not go New Braunfels' way. And the Cougars, a nice offensive start to this fourth quarter, now a nice defensive play.
Yeah, and that's a good catch by the official on the far sideline. The ball did squirt out. Facundo was right there. He picks it up clearly, has possession, and his knee's down, so he's down automatically. And then after that, the ball comes out. So Canyon gets a break there. We're just about to go into the whole ball hasn't bounced their way type thing, but finally, tonight here in the fourth quarter, they get that ball to bounce back up into Facundo and start this possession inside Unicorn territory.
And the rain still pouring in here to Cougar Stadium. Here is Worley, big hole up the middle. A nice stiff arm. He loses the football. Was he ruled down? No, the ball came out before the knee touched, and the Cougars, just like that, give it right back.
Well, I was expecting some type of horse collar penalty there because it looked like the defenseman had Worley by the shoulder pads and fell back on him. As you see Worley kind of walking off a little gingerly. I hope he's okay. You hate to see a big producer in your offense get dinged up like that in mop-up time.
Play stands. Second Canyon turnover tonight. And here is Gonzalez. A nice run on the sweep. Facundo trying to strip the ball again, but cannot. And that's good for about 5 yards there on first down for New Braunfels.
They're starting to see things get a little chippy down there on the sidelines after the plays are over. You're starting to see some extracurricular, as they say. But
keep in mind the seniors for New Braunfels have bragging rights over the senior group for Canyon for years to come now.
Yeah, well, trust me, as I said in the opener, I still hear it from time to time from my senior year at New Braunfels, having lost to Canyon. So there are real world and real life implications in this ball game.
Here is Johns, the keeper. And dragged down at around the 31-yard line, close to a first down. On the tackle, J.C. Robledo for Canyon. And by the way, the Cougars' last win of the Wurstbowl came in 2013, the final year under Matt Elliott.
Obviously, Brand, we're here on the Cougar Network, and we're wearing red socks and cheering for the Cougars here tonight. But I tried to keep my unicorn playing experience on the sideline while doing this game. But I think it bears an experience here that perhaps Canyon can learn from that 2002 season. We came here to Canyon High School with an opportunity to win district, and we lost to Canyon here at Cougar Stadium. And at that point in our locker room, we had a choice. Do we hang our heads, or do you learn what you can from that mistake? And if you talk to any of my teammates there, we will tell you that we probably would not have had that playoff run had we not lost to Canyon. And so what you take from that is, yes, the loss stings, but can you use that to then focus you in the direction of where you want to go with your team goals? And if you could harness the pain from the loss into your rival and put that for good, then you'll be amazed of what good could come from that.
Meanwhile, the last two carries both to Labus, another big run on the play prior. So again, despite that taunting penalty, he's still getting chances here, maybe a chance to make amends for him. As we hit the final 8:25 of the game, New Braunfels on its way to a 4-1 start. Canyon was hoping for 2-0 start to district play, but that won't happen tonight. They haven't done that since 2013, that year beating both Wagner and New Braunfels to kick off district play. Incomplete pass to bring up third down and long. On the topic of districts, by the way, think about the teams Canyon has been in a district with over the last decade. You have the usual, Smithson Valley, Steele, Judson. How about Lake Travis, once upon a time, right around the start of their state championship run. Alamo Heights, not on par with the Lake Travis, but still pretty good.
Sure.
And Kerrville-Tybee when Johnny Manziel was there.
Lot of good football in this area, Brant, and it just seems, that old cliche that a rising tide lifts all boats. I mean, you've seen Steele and Judson make deep state runs, and if you know just by geographic proximity you got to compete with that, then it then makes your team that much better. And case in point, that the team in blue on the other side, and that's where Canyon wants to be. But if I just give you the list of 6A high schools, Brent, you can't draw a district in this area that's not going to be tough and competitive or any gimmies. So, perhaps you curse UIL every 2 years as saying, why are you putting us in with Steele and Judson? Well, who else? I mean, you go up 35, San Marcos is a pretty good football program, and then you get into the South Austin area teams.
Nice punt here, and the Unicorns down it inside the 5. A kind roll for the Unicorns, and Canyon starts at its own 2-yard line.
I don't want to go back in my day, Brain, but it tells you how things have changed in 15 years or so since I left playing high school football. But in 2002, and when Canyon and New Braunfels were in the same district, we had Lake Travis in that district. And Lake Travis was a bottom feeder in our district. That was a free win, and they were 0-10 when we play, or they were 0-9 going into our showdown in week 10, and we made them 0-10. And it just goes to show you, if you have the right demographics in the right area and the right direction and support from the administration, all of which are here at Canyon High School, you can mix that together and you could get something like what they have over at Lake Travis. And then it becomes a snowball effect. You know, those middle school kids want to be a part of that high school football program because of that success. And then you do a better job of recruiting the kids that are already under your roof. Obviously, you can't recruit, but
right.
You want the kids that are good athletes that say, yeah, I want to be a part of that football program.
Meanwhile, offsides against New Braunfels makes it 1st and 5 for Canyon, now thrown 7. And Perez on 1st down will keep it. A little run pass option there, but the throw incomplete, looking for Trevor Pape, whose name we brought up earlier. 2nd down and 5. But the topic of Lake Travis, by the way, 2 27-6A teams have already played the Cavaliers this year in weeks 1 and 2. Judson put up 65 against the Cavs in week 1, won the game. But then Lake Travis, as this snap was fumbled, but play below dead before anyway. So Lake Travis plays Steele in week 2. 34-31 Cavalier win, getting a field goal right before time expired. And this will make it 2nd down and 10.
And you look at how UIL has things lined up. Somebody in this district will potentially face Lake Travis in round 2 of the playoffs. I mean, we saw that last year as Smithson Valley was the victim, the sacrificial lamb to go up there and play Lake Travis in the playoffs.
Here's a running play for Sabian Jarrett, his first carry tonight. But still Canyon to face with 3rd down and long here. And looking at the clock, the Cougars running out of possessions here. So this might be one of their final ones of the night. Not a chance to come back here, but a chance to work on some things offensively. New Braunfels led 28-zip at halftime. Added a few more scores to their lead of the 3rd quarter. Canyon got his first score earlier here in the 4th. As this run by Jarrett snuffed out again. And Canyon will punt the football back to New Braunfels.
There's a flag back at the end zone near the goal line there in the middle of the field. And I don't see anything on the monitor that would indicate a hold. And where that flag is thrown, it didn't seem like much activity. Of course, I'm looking for something in the pile, and I missed the obvious horse collar that's happening right in front of my eyes. So.
All right, so this drive will continue now for Canyon. The Cougars will fall to 1 and 4 by game's end. But again, those first 3 district games don't mean anything towards the postseason. Canyon, by the way, trying to get back into the playoffs for the first time since 2013. But again, this district, man, it's just so tough. Little to no room for error, even in a down year like it is for Steele this season. It's hard to squeeze into that top 4. Perez will throw. Great protection. Going deep, and the catch is made inside the 40-yard line. Isaiah Rivera on the receiving end of the biggest passing play of the night for Canyon.
You finally got the hookup going, and for the first time you saw separation between a Cougar receiver and a Unicorn defensive back. They're on the outside, and a nice haul, and finally an accurate pass there for the receiver to bring in.
And that running play sets up 2nd down and 10. That was a 41-yard hookup, by the way, in the passing play, and for Rivera, his longest catch this year. Like to see one more Canyon touchdown before the night is over.
Well, we talked about at the transition into the 4th quarter, we wanted to see some positive things and something to take into the bye week.
Flag at the back end of the running play there. On the carry taken out by Nathan Colbreth, and this is probably a hold against Canyon. So we see a few 2s and 3s out there for both teams, but still Xavier Perez, the only one who's taken a snap at quarterback for Canyon tonight.
You look at the 2 deep, and you have Fabian Facundo listed as your backup quarterback for for Canyon, and he's played wide receiver. He's been on almost every defensive snap, and let's not wear out all of our guys here, especially in mop-up duty. So for Xavier as well, he's still a junior, still relatively young. I mean, each snap is that much more experience, and this is district experience against a very aggressive defense. So you might ask yourself, what's he still doing in there? And I think the coaching staff still sees learning opportunities, not only for him, but the rest of this team out here is against an opponent. You could practice things like this in this scenario.
You look down at the field right now, left side of the line at tackle, big number 74. You can see him right there behind Perez. Adam Alcorta. We haven't talked a lot about Canyon's offensive line. The size he has, 6'4", 290, only a junior. I do wonder how much he will develop by this time next year.
Yeah, the coaching staff likes him. He got some playing time as a sophomore. As Perez takes another heave downfield and is incomplete. And he started 2 games as a sophomore, Brant, early in that season before having to miss the season because of injury. And the coaching staff really felt like that was a wasted opportunity. You talk about that development, not only as a young kid wanting to put beef, but now, a lot of that work in the weight room has to go to physical therapy instead of, massive weight building for that offensive line. But they like him. And going into this season, Brant, the coaching staff was telling me that there's a lot of experience on that offensive line, just not at offensive line, as they had to work around a couple of guys. And you watch this offense play over the last couple of weeks. The bread and butter has been in the running game because of the Bull Moose up front.
Cold breath, the last carry there for Canyon. And now 4th down at about 17 to go. And again, this could be Canyon's last possession tonight. And Perez will throw. The rush is on. On the run, the junior quarterback goes down. On the play there for the Braunfels on defense. That's Hayden Kesserling, and Canyon will turn the football over on downs. 4:36 to go here in this 4th quarter, and the Braunfels' offense, after being held to 7 points last week, officially back. So you look at the game last week against Judson, and again, the Rockets were so good offensively and defensively. What makes Judson so scary good is their quarterback, Julian Williams, a 4-year starter.
You don't hear that very often in high school.
At quarterback. And so you worry about stopping Judson's offense. But if defensively they can hold a team like the Braunfels to 7 points, how good can they be on that side of the football? And if so, how do you beat them?
I'm glad I'm not a coaching staff having to answer that question, Brant. I mean, you and I could pontificate up here, and to speculate on that, it's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough. I mean, I don't know. There are
no easy answers to that question.
Yeah. I don't have an answer. Right. To be honest with you.
Julian Williams last week is
incredible.
This is a timeout called here to stop the clock with 4:02 to go. Williams had 9 completions and ran the ball 9 times. It's 18 plays that Williams is responsible for, 325 yards. And 4 of those 18 touches were touchdowns.
I remember him when we saw him his freshman year, and I remember doing the lead up to a game versus Canyon where you look on the sheets of paper and you say, well, here we have Judson starting a freshman. Lick your chops and let's bring pressure at the young man. Probably couldn't even drive it. He can't drive himself to the football game.
Right.
He's just that young.
14 years old.
He wasn't even old enough to have a driver's permit. So you go after the young man and you just watch him as a freshman handle guys that are 4 times older than him and come away with it as the dominant force on the football field. And you're saying, my goodness, this not even old enough to be called a young man. This kid is the best athlete on the field. And, of course, there are no rules that he was good enough to forego his senior year of high school and go play on the college level. He was that good, but, you don't have those rules. And so he's playing out his senior year, and it just so happens that he's at a school that's 20 minutes away from our schools, and we get him every year.
31, Labus on the run. He's had some big runs so far tonight and just refusing to go down, and finally twisted down at around the 36 by McKay. Approaching the final 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. All New Braunfels here tonight. Now, last year, Canyon played Williams and Judson to an 8-point game. Final game of the season. In fact, Canyon also played Steele to a 7-point game a year ago here at Cougar Stadium. Judson last year was down in that by their standards. Williams wasn't great as a junior last year, but the senior campaign he's off to so far this season, they are a legitimate threat to go all the way. Labus again breaking a couple of tackles and turns out a couple more inside the 35-yard line.
And another reason why this game was so important for Canyon, you wanted to get that second win in district because, we're talking so highly of that Judson team, and rightly so. That is the last opponent for Canyon. And so what you wanted to avoid was the scenario where you have to welcome the Judson Rockets here on the last game of the season and need a win to get into the postseason. That's already a tall task as it is.
Labus again the call inside the 25-yard line. Another first down gain there for the Unicorns on the run as we hit the final 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. So all this talk about Judson, we've alluded to Steele's struggles, although masked by opposition they've played. Smithson Valley is 4-0, and the Rangers were the ones that beat Steele last week, snapping the Knights' 41-game district winning streak. Their previous district loss was in 2009 against Kerrville-Tivy and Johnny Manziel. So Manziel graduated high school, won a Heisman Trophy, flamed out of the NFL before Steele lost another district game.
I think you forgot a redshirt year as well.
Sure, for good measure.
It goes to show you, one, again, you talk about, how can Canyon get to that level? Well, you do have a benefit just geographically. All those schools we mentioned, you're in the area. It's a desired place to be. Number of kids in the school is not going to be an issue. Finding kids that want to play football is not going to be a problem. It's about developing that culture and getting kids in and keeping them into the program. And those schools have done a good job of that.
And now it appears the Braunfels in a semi-victory formation here. And they are in just that. Johns takes a knee, and will need a couple of more before this game comes to a close.
You mentioned Smithson Valley, and we really haven't talked about them, and we'll have their game on the Ranger Network, our sister network, tomorrow, as they host East Central. But for Smithson Valley, I'm tired of ruling them out every time they get a quarterback change. They lose Josh Atkins, a 3-year starter in his own right, and he's playing on the next level, I believe, in New Mexico State.
Correct.
So he's taking his talents to the next level, and I thought, well, new quarterback at Smithson Valley, maybe they'll take a step back, and here we are going into midpoint of season, and they're undefeated. So it's just kind of reload them back up for Coach Larry Hill. You know what you're going to get from a Smithson Valley team year in and year out, and they're poised for another good run into district, having already passed their first test and a big one against Steele.
Don't forget, too, that Smithson Valley at quarterback, when Josh Atkins came in, had to replace Garrett Smith before that.
Right.
And Smith also
Louisiana Monroe
in the Sun Belt Conference at the quarterback position, like Atkins is as well. And the final play of the game, another kneel down taken by Trey Johns. And New Braunfels has won the 36th edition of the Wurstbowl going away. Big night for New Braunfels offensively and defensively. And they have bragging rights for another year. More importantly, a 1-1 record in 27-6A play. Final score from Cougar Stadium, New Braunfels 49, Canyon 7. Back to wrap things up. This is Canyon Football on the Cougars Network.
In college football, you don't have the luxury of looking ahead. Every Saturday's a different way of destroying your season. They'll make the ground shake They'll make your eyes burn. They'll show you hate and disrespect unlike anything you've ever seen. Don't think about January when there's a Wolverine coming for your face in September. The biggest game, the only game, is the one you're playing.
The wait is over. Chip and Joe are back with more Fixer Upper. I love you.
You ready to do this?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. You slayed it.
Whoa!
You killed it.
This is amazing.
Yes!
Fixer Upper, Tuesday night at 9, only on HGTV.
Watch HGTV, GVTC, Digital Cable Channel 578. GVTC, just plain smart.
And back to wrap things up here on the Cougars Network. All New Braunfels tonight. Unfortunately, New Braunfels a resounding 49-7 win. We said coming into the game that the Unicorns would be a desperate team, not wanting to fall to 0-2 in this 27-6A district. For Canyon, a 2-0 start would be huge for them. Didn't work out that way, but both teams still a lot of work to do with 5 district games remaining.
Again, a score like this, Brandon, 49-7. New Braunfels did not play as well as you think they did, and Canyon did not play as poorly as you think they did. A lot of work ahead of these two coaching staffs, and for Canyon, you have to decide how are you going to use that bye. Do you hang your head for 2 weeks? Do you get over this? Do you use the pain from this loss to propel you forward? Because if this district was already tough, and as it is, you can't let losses like this beat you twice, as they say. So take what you can from this, learn from it. Don't let the pain drag you down. Use it to propel you forward, and rest up during the bye, and in 2 weeks it'll be homecoming and the Clemens Buffaloes.
Do have to note, Ben, that again it was raining throughout the night, yet still a packed house here at Cougar Stadium. The scoreboard lopsided, yes, but still another fun edition of the annual Wurstbowl.
And a Thursday, I mean, you got to get off work, you got to get the kids fed, and then you got to get out to the stadium. I know here on the near side, the home stands filled from end zone to end zone, and on the far side as well. Of course, not a big road trip for the visiting fans to cross the Guadalupe River, but good atmosphere at kickoff, a good sight, and a good celebration as a whole for the city of New Braunfels to come together and enjoy the works of our youth, our young people in our community playing this wonderful game.
And with that, we're going to wrap up our coverage of the Wurstbowl here tonight. Thanks to everybody on behalf of the Cougars Network and WIC Productions and our crew. Ben Campos, Chris Gutierrez, I'm Brain Freeman saying once again the final score, New Braunfels 49, Canyon 7. This has been Canyon Football on the Cougars Network. Good night.
Cougars Network is your home for Canyon High School athletic coverage. Don't miss live game broadcasts, weekly coaches shows, stories from inside the field house, and more. Log on to CougarsNetwork.com to stay up to date on everything from the Den to the Red Zone. Welcome to Cougars Network.